Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sovereign Citizen Watch. How's everyone doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope your week's going well. And, how's everyone doing? After stream today, we are doing a little early today. We are earlier than we typically are, and that is because after stream today, I'm going to be doing a patron-only live stream. So if you want to be a part of that and hang out, make sure you join the Patreon. With $1 or more, I should say. I think it lets you do free memberships. Not that. It's if you're a donating patron, you get access to that and all my previous ones. So that's good. I got some stuff in the mail that I wanted to talk about. Let's see. Hey Hannah, saw you went on a Carrot Top tangent and you said you didn't have this, so here you go. Sorry it's not Blu-ray and the VHS is for display on the shelf or whatever. Thank you for entertainment on my bad days. From Brain Squid. We have Carrot Top's Chairman of the Board on DVD and VHS. So that's a good one. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That goes here. And from there, Carrot Top can watch us all ominously. As he normally does, but now we're aware of it. But seriously, thank you. That's fun. Appreciate it. And then, I don't know if you all remember the other day when we did the Isaac Asimov VHS game that was on YouTube, but we didn't have the cards. Mr. Blast has come through for us and found a sealed in the box version of this that has never been opened. Isaac Asimov's VCR mystery game, Mint in Box. So someday in the future, I think it'll be fun for us to open this and actually play the game together. Because we can. So that'll be fun. We'll do that at some point. And also from Mr. Blast, we have our bootleg Deems device. Remember the Deems device, the magnets, and it'll heal you? He has manufactured me a bootleg Deems device. This plus the Alex Chu immortality rings, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna live forever. I'll be that Warhammer president. So that's great. So with all that out of the way, we can go ahead and get into the Sovereign Citizens. So let's do that. After I read bits, messages, and stuff. Ashley One Up with 18 months says 2 babies and yet not 1 child support check, and they are not in the mail. The second sub-baby's name is Tyler Arthur Skittles. Tyler Arthur Skittles. Fenegagami says, hello all. Question, have you heard how Title IX has been revised by Biden to include protections for pregnancy, termination of pregnancy, sex-based rights, including being trans? About the only trans right it's not protecting is trans kids in sports. But overall, a huge step in the right direction in my mind. Thoughts? That's good. I hadn't heard the specifics of that, but that is definitely good. Any protections for people is good in general. GamerG, thanks for 12 months, says, 1 year, thanks for all the great content. Hannah originally came for the tinfoil, stayed for the Chilie sentencing. My HRT appointment is in a few days. Wish me luck. Good luck. And congrats. That's very exciting. And we are caught up. Full beans. So let's see. We do have Chilie stuff. I don't know if I want to start with that, though. Let's start with...
Want to be handled and how
Apparently Chilie doesn't want to wait for my say-so. He just wants to go. I don't know. Patriot Grandma's kind of funny. In fairness to this woman, I also like a silly hat. So, like, as much as I want to laugh at the prop she picks up here in a second, I would totally do this. So, I get it. What's the least bad Ayn Rand book? I don't know. I couldn't even tell you that.
Know that there are actually...
What's Ayn Rand's most heavily veiled speech that she just wants to give in the form of a book? Dillis Filler says, another VCR mystery. Why does my husband have so much VCR head cleaner? I'm thinking the VCR isn't the only head he's cleaning. Alted Undying says, Hannah, if you can scan assets in, I can make you a version of the game in Tabletop Simulator so we can play in digital space. One of the rooms is the holodeck. That sounds pretty sweet, honestly.
6 parts of our total government scheme at the higher levels of the federal side of it, okay? There's the Union that started back in 1776, and that's how we started.
Hold on, let me get I have a tricorn hat. Give me a second. I feel like a fool! There we go. Now I don't look like a silly bitch anymore. Dressed for the occasion.
A union of all of the former colonies, okay? So we have the Union, and we have the good old US of A.
Oh, god damn it, she switched hats so quickly, and I don't have a patriotic hat.
Here's the United States of America.
Yeah, she's a sovereign citizen.
Right?
Yes.
The Federation.
Thank you, Baja.
And then we have the Confederation.
Oh no! Don't talk about like. Oh no. Okay, thank God. For my brain went to a bad place initially. No, she was talking about the Articles of Confederation that happened before we did the Constitution. She's fine. Okay.
Sort of the just the facts, ma'am, business end of things. So those are the 3 parts of the American government.
What?
How does the Confederation represent itself?
States of America. So just let's go back over that really fast. Okay. Here's the Union, the United States. July 4, 1776.
She's having fun. Oh no! She's into January 6th too! I didn't mention the January 6th thing. We'll deal with that later. Let's just do a standard sob sit video. I feel like I've been doing so much theory stuff. Let's just do a normal sob sit.
Well, I'll be giving up my rights to travel, giving up my...
I got you.
Yeah, what's your badge number?
I'm Officer Miller. We don't have badge numbers.
Oh, you don't have Officer Miller?
No, we don't have badge
I said
numbers.
you swinged around the corner. I was like, up, he coming to try to stalk me out.
No, but, okay, so I get you think you have the right to travel. I need to identify you, though, okay?
Okay.
So, do you want to give me your name?
Laval Carson.
And then did you just buy this vehicle, or what's up with the no plates?
Well...
No plates. Not a good idea to drive around with no license plates. That's not allowed.
I got it from Nevada and I drove it back.
Okay.
So it's private property.
Okay. Can you spell your first name for me, sir?
Lavall Moore, Moor, Bay, B-E-Y, sorry.
Moore Bay. So he is a Moorish citizen. Bumble Homestead with 100 bits says, good news update. Spots Dots, the stray kitty I brought in during lockdown, has learned how to sit on my lap without using me as a pincushion. Adorable.
Okay, is that hyphenated?
B-E-Y.
Okay. Is it Bay's the last name, Moore's the middle?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Bay is an appellation, as they say in the Moorish Science Temple.
Sure. And what's your date of birth, sir?
March 12, 1990.
Oh my god, same birthday!
1990?
And I got an A to do that.
Okay.
I got the rights to travel. It's not a privilege for me.
Okay.
That's why I exercise my rights.
Okay, do you have registration or anything for the vehicle, like old registration or title?
Well, I'll do this. I'll do this. I'm not trying to hold you up, but I got a lot of stuff going on in the courts and stuff.
It's funny that he says that, like he's in control of how long this goes on. I'm not trying to hold you up. You're not holding him up. He's holding you up. You are in a traffic stop. You're not exercising authority here by saying that, and it feels like some sort of weird mental strategy to feel in control.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm trying to be on by my way, man.
Alright. Alright, so first name is Lavall.
Yeah.
Middle of M. Moore.
Yeah.
Last name of Bay.
Yeah.
Bay, B-A-Y.
Yeah, that's my nationality then, yeah.
Okay. 31290?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Give me 1 minute, sir. Just stay
Okay,
here.
yeah.
What a beautiful camera angle.
Here they go again, stopping me. I'm over here on Capitol in Oakland. I have a police behind me. I got a very nice Mercedes-Benz, attractable.
If you can get a Mercedes-Benz, then I would recommend that you get a license plate for that Mercedes-Benz so you can keep your very expensive car.
I'm here exercising my right. I'm here with my baby right here. I'm getting her from school right now. And I'm just out here exercising my rights to travel. I have, we have the rights to travel right now, and I have a police right behind me. And stopped me. I seen them he go down the block. It came back around. Can you get to mama? Keep time. Swinged around the block, came and got me. So,
Are there
like
any
I said,
Moorish
exercising my
American
right to
citizens
travel.
who are not African American? I have seen one. I have seen one white Moorish American. It was very interesting. Because he wasn't even claiming necessarily, I don't think, that he had those rights, because he's like a random white guy. But I think he was like a sovereign citizen that like hung out with Moorish citizens and were like super cool with their thing, even though he wasn't necessarily a part of it. If that makes sense? Can I share him? I don't remember where he was. That was like a year ago, and I don't remember his name or anything. If I come across him again, I'll make note of it and save it and share it.
I gave a name, you know, so I'm being cooperative. Hey, babe, we got pulled over again.
Hey, if you're saying that, maybe it's a you problem. If you're like, I got pulled over again, maybe it's a you problem.
How is this? Over here on Shorewood?
Yeah.
Oh, you want, what's his name? Alright, just let me know what happened.
Okay, hopefully I got your... No, did I leave your key? Okay. Yeah, they stopped me.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew they was good. Yeah, put it on.
It's not working.
I just told her you took it off. Let me see it. The way you got it, yeah.
This guy's like more lethargic at a traffic stop than I am sitting at home normally. God
Oh,
damn,
Carson.
my generalized anxiety is not
I want to
good.
grab your name. I know you're the officer, but
I'd hope he's like we don't have any reason to necessarily think he's on any sort of substance. He's just yawning.
working on the van, so you can get you out of here pretty quick, okay?
Laval
What's your last name, sir?
Bay.
Bay?
Bay,
No, is that
B-E-Y,
one?
but
Just fixing, rubbing his head in the...
my business, and I could just, you know, daily, because I travel this route all the time, dropping my girl off. Travel this route all the time. Hopefully they get familiar with the car.
Hopefully they get familiar with the car. You better hope they don't get familiar with the car. What are you talking about? The fact that you get away with driving down this road consistently without a license plate doesn't make it legal. If you're a serial killer, and this is an extreme example, but if you're a serial killer and you kill 30 people and you get caught on number 31 mid-stab, you don't get to go, well, I do this all the time and I get away with it. It doesn't matter. It's not how it works.
And I could go on by my life. It was no emergency, anything.
The emergency is there's an idiot driving with their kid in a car without a license or registration or license plate.
It's crazy because when you know you got a feeling somebody, you go get pulled over, especially somebody like me. Especially like somebody like me.
Someone who doesn't have a license plate.
Traveling in a Mercedes-Benz.
You don't want to be. Well, you don't want to be known to the police. You know, we have similar aspirations. Gamer G says the serial killer analogy is just like the Trump with his financial crimes before he was president.
Clean as a whistle. "34 years of age."
Is he having an existential crisis? So it'd be a good time for one. Maybe make some changes. Probably be good.
Pull it up on me, and I pretty much was stalked and harassed, if anything.
You're not being harassed because they pulled you over.
That's
Here.
yours. You're getting 3 tickets today. 1 for operating while suspended.
Why is he even doing that? He's not gonna pay the tickets. Sovereign citizens never pay the fucking tickets. So why is he going, he doesn't care.
2 for not having plates in your vehicle, and then 3 for not wearing your seatbelt, okay?
Yeah.
Court date June 4th, 2024, 5 p.m. It's the same for all of them, right here at a municipal court, okay?
Mhm.
So there's that. Do you have any questions regarding these?
No.
Okay, so this is what I suggest. Next time you get pulled, don't lie about your name.
I'm not. That's no lie.
Okay, well, it's
That's
not the
my
first
that's
thing.
my nationality name.
Is this your
Your
daughter
nationality name. That's not a thing.
with you?
Yeah,
then?
that's my.
For those who don't know, Moorish citizens are specific kinds of sovereign citizens in that their mythology dictates that your nationality, and by nationality they really mean ethnicity, and by that I mean a fictional ethnicity because they think that America used to secretly be part of the Moroccan Empire and that they, via blood right, can break any law they want. It's a whole thing.
Baby.
Okay, if your daughter wasn't here, I'd be towing your car right now because you don't have a valid license, you don't have this vehicle registered, okay? So let's think about that before we drive around, okay? Because I don't want to do that.
I mean, that'll be hardship. Like, we got the rights to travel, and
It's really that stupid? Oh yeah, basically they don't think that the transatlantic slave trade happened. They think that black people are the indigenous population of the United States, and that slavery was just a psyop in order to make them forget that they are the actual indigenous population. And of course, as we all know, being the indigenous population of the United States means the federal government can't ever do anything to you, right? As we all know, famously, historically, being indigenous in the United States means you get to do whatever you want, and the government's cool with it, right? It's many layers of delusional. The actual thing they believe is delusional, and the way the thing that they believe works is delusional. It's like layered.
exercise. I've been doing this.
Well, I don't.
The cop says here in a second that basically he only isn't taking the guy's car because his kid's in, which I don't think he should do. Like, I'm not averse to this cop's decision to do that. I think that's nice. But to say to this guy, I'm only not towing your car because your daughter is in the car, to me, would signal to that guy, I should bring my kid all the time now, because if I get pulled over, they're less likely to tow my car. So I agree with the cop maybe telling him, like, hey, yeah, I'm just letting you go home this time, but I wouldn't tell him why, because now he's going to use the kid as a shield.
I don't have anything else for you. I suggest you don't drive because you don't have a valid license, nor is this car registered. If you got your daughter, you do what you gotta do. Just know your vehicle could get towed.
Yeah. That's what they're gonna do.
And he fucking laughs smugly. Like, that's what I don't even get. It'd be one thing if these people were like, whew, got out of that one. When it does work, more or less, and they don't get their car towed, they act like, of course that worked, bitch. And it's so obnoxious. Oh, and he's getting out of the car. That's not good to do at a traffic stop.
I, 'cause
That's normal behavior. That's not concerning at all. Oh, we're punching out the explosive anger. Very normal. Very healthy behavior. Jesus Christ. Wow, he left all this in. This is on his channel. He could have cut this part.
Driving around harassing people, dude.
This guy needs some anger help. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. All right. Fucking Chilie. We may have heard this, but for those who missed it, I do find the first part of this quite interesting. The struggles he has in jail.
DLZ and everybody out there in the land of the unfree America. My name is Chilie
The
DeCastro.
land of the unfree America. Are you thinking of where you are, Chilie? Because you're the one in jail. We're out here. This is not a reverso menagerie situation where secretly you're the free one and we're all in the zoo. You are in jail.
Today's April 14th, 2024. I have been incarcerated in the Clark County Detention Center unjustly and unwarranted. Even for a first-time offense, they put me in jail for 6 months. And this is my daily
Not a first-time offense.
report. I'm going to give a little bit of information about myself and try to talk about some relevant topics for you as well. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep my voice and my attitude and my temperament up. There are some days that are good and some days that are hard. Today was one of those days that was just hard. It was just difficult. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but the first one and the foremost one is that I have not had a probiotic in a month. And there's a lot of studies going on right now that you guys can read about that your stomach is your second brain. That if you don't balance your
When my brain goes to human rights issues in jails and prisons, my brain does not immediately go to lack of probiotics. Not where I go. Not immediately.
probiotics and prebiotics, it can affect your mood for the next day. I have not had a probiotic or prebiotic.
I like a yogurt. Don't get me wrong. I love a yogurt. Fuck yes. But I don't know. Is it a human right? I don't know. I don't know about that one.
In a month. So I know that I'm going to go through.
No, remember, he doesn't want to shit in jail, so he's working at 100% efficiency. He just works all the energy. No poops for Chilie.
Things, and that my brain is going to be affected in certain ways. But that's not the worst of it, to be honest with you. The food in here is just a grade above dog food, or just...
I don't disagree with that. Prison food is dog shit. Absolute fucking awful. Alright, so that's all you needed to hear from that one. That was from like 10 days ago.
Chilie DeCastro, I'm an innocent man, and
This is so annoying. He's saying he's an innocent man. Chilie, you were found guilty, and we saw you do the thing. You can think that it's unjust, but you cannot say that you're innocent.
Hello, Team DLZ. My name is Chilie DeCastro. I'm an innocent man in the Clark County Detention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Today's April 12th, 2024, and this is my journalistic report daily. This is not a third-party call.
Sorry, that wasn't the right one I wanted to show. Actually, it was this one. Excerpt from his book that he's writing in jail.
Hello, everybody. This is Chilie DeCastro calling from the Clark County Detention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm an innocent man who has been locked up for filming a cop in the streets.
Again, not innocent, and his charge, he was not arrested for filming. He was arrested for obstruction. He literally just wasn't listening and was engaging with the traffic stop. DM Trey says, for Chilie, I don't think he knows he lies. I think he has to twist his personal reality so hard he can't recall things accurately. Oh, I would agree. I think the person Chilie lies to the most is himself. We are all secondary marks. As far as Chilie is concerned, everything he says, I think he thinks is true. He's, like, super, super full of himself, and, like, in my opinion, like, he has narcissistic tendencies to the point that he just has this reality warping field around him, where he never does anything wrong, and he's always an innocent victim.
So I wrote something today as I have a lot of time to think, and this is going to go in my book. So this is an excerpt of my book that'll be coming out when I get out of jail. I'm going to read it, and there's some things I'm going to say in here that is going to give you an insight to my thinking and why I am the way I am. As I lay down and I think about what went wrong, how could this judge put a first-time offender in jail?
You have been found guilty of crimes before. That is, by definition, not a first-time offense. Chilie, you have many failures to appear also, and constant interactions with the police. Bad ones. What do you think is happening?
On an obstruction charge, and I can't believe that I have deserved being put in jail. And yes, I may have said that I hate police, and there's a lot of reasons why I have said that, and there's a lot of reasons why I do. But I thought it was my right to say the things that I said.
Not in court, dipshit. Do I think he remembers fleeing a state? No, that's at the back of his mind. He doesn't even remember that. Sorry, bad time to take a bite. Chilie. In court, there's this thing called decorum. And in court, you are not supposed to insult other random people in the courtroom, much less the court staff. You literally were shouting insults at court staff. In court! That's not a First Amendment rights issue. The courtroom is not a traditional public forum of any kind.
And so what this book is going to do is help give you comprehension and understanding as why I am the way I am. And so
Honestly, I'm probably going to get this book because I think it will be interesting for that reason, but I don't think I'll draw the same conclusions he intends.
I want to put it into a perspective for you that you can understand. So let me say, for example, that you were going to get a job. Would you take a job where you take people as prisoner, where you put them in torture cuffs and take them to a cage? Who does that? An outright PIG. Now, I'm going to change my verbiage publicly because I must. But I'm not done yet building the comprehension of understanding myself for you to understand me. The goal of this book is so that you will always be able to say, I know why he called them PIGs. So I will...
Chilie, plenty of people don't like cops. That's not even like an original thought. That's like the most basic bitch, like, opinion you could have is like, cops suck. Like, we know. That's not why you're in jail.
Change my verbiage. I have no choice to become electable. But because they sign up to
Still thinks he's gonna become the governor, so that's good.
do to us, to the public, only for themselves and completely for themselves. To me, the American cop is the most selfish, greedy person on earth, and I can
You're giving them a run for their money.
prove it to
Pretty
you.
impressive.
If you had a job at a popular pizza place, and this pizza place sells pieces by the slice, and the front door that you worked at had a little turnstile, and every time someone came in, the turnstile would turn around and whack them in the hip or smack them in the back. It just didn't work. You know the three little bars like at a Subway where you walk through it and it flips around? That thing. And so now imagine this. At your pizza joint, after the person pushes through and they get whacked, imagine you would say to them, it's not supposed to be comfortable. Could you even imagine it? Could you even, if they were to complain, whack, ow, 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 this is hurting me. How long would
I
you
don't think this is a very good metaphor. Like, I'm having a hard time picturing the turnstile he's imagining that attacks you when you go through it.
keep this job? But yet you continue to hear it day after day, time after
I think the basic problem is he equates having handcuffs placed on him to physical torture, and I just don't agree with that.
time as people get hurt by police with the torture cuffs, them saying, ow, ow, ow. And the worst part of it, the absolute worst part of it, you go into the pizza joint and they stick you in a giant high chair where it sticks you in the ribs and it hurts your back and you're saying, I can't function, this hurts.
You're in a high chair at the pizza place now? Dillis Filler says, yes, we've all seen the time knife, Chilie, focus.
How long would you keep that job? You wouldn't. Of course, this is a parallel. We're talking about the initial attack and the torture that these people called police in America put on us. And so if you worked at that place where you served pizza and they got whacked every time, you would demand to change, or you would say that they either have to change it or you're
Maybe I'm a bad person, but I would probably be the best part of my day is watching people come in and get smacked on the butt by the turnstile. That's hilarious.
gonna quit.
Probably don't hire me for a pizza place. I am not going to help your customers.
But what does the PIG in the street say? He says they're not supposed to be comfortable. Torture cuffs are always torture. You cannot apply torture cuffs to a human being and then slip them into a tiny slot in the back of a cage and say that you're not torturing them.
Chilie, handcuffs are not inherently torture. They can be placed on in a way that's uncomfortable and hurts, and I don't think that should be done. But just the existence of a restraint system in and of itself is not torture. It just isn't. That's nuts.
When you put them on industrial hardened plastic,
People literally use them for sex. Yeah, people.
their feet,
Where are they? Who knows where those people are? Weirdos? What?
we, the just, are better than the robber. We, the just, are better than
I think the only solution here is that we issue all cops a pair of fuzzy handcuffs.
the ravisher. We, the just, are better than the child abuser, the kidnapper, or the killer. Two wrongs don't make a right. And so,
3 rights make a left. Is that something?
what kind of person uses a torture device, an outright mental anguish and fear, and puts it in the people? They're not
I disagree with the premise that handcuffs are inherently a torture device.
supposed to.
Chilie has anxiety issues. Severe ones, I think, genuine. To be clear, I'm not even trying to belittle Chilie's feelings on this. I have seen Chilie get handcuffed and when he's under arrest and how freaked out he gets. I absolutely believe he has actual either trauma or anxiety around handcuffs that freaks him the fuck out. I clearly he does. You'd have to be nuts to not see it. But he's universalizing his experience in a way that is, like, not typical. Most people do not have handcuffs put on them and be like, I'm being tortured.
To be comfortable. Who
Focuses on the weirdest thing to focus on if you want to look at, like, jail or police reform. Handcuffs. It goes to handcuffs.
says that? It's, you know, if
I didn't play this video, by the way, but Chilie also claims his dad worked for Pablo Escobar, so that's fun.
cops are not PIGs, where's the decent person who says we can detain and transport people another way? What kind of person would sign up to chaining people's wrists behind their back? Answer that question. Imagine
Dominatrixes.
it. You're applying for a new job. It only requires
And people pay for that. So.
that you chain people's wrists behind their back. Do you want the job? But yet, if you have no skill set and will pay you $6,000 to $10,000 a month, starting off plus the $15,000 a month signing bonus, now you'll do it. If you want to see a job where you chain
I'm a Twitch streamer. I've been training my whole life to have no skills. It sounds perfect.
people up and you put them in a slot, then you fit perfect in here. Almost every time you put those torture cuffs on someone, you render them completely and utterly helpless. And you hear
That's the point, Chilie! That's the point! Being helpless is not torture inherently. Being restrained is not inherently torture. That's what you don't get.
them say, ow, these hurt my wrist, these hurt my shoulders, this hurts my elbow. And the cop will reply, they're not supposed to be comfortable. For me, those are the worst people in our society, the worst people on earth. Let's go back to the pizza place with the turnstop.
Great, that metaphor was working magically.
Now, as people complain and you say, quit, I'm going to quit if you don't fix this. Why are you going to quit? Because it's a $12 an hour job. Your humanity is not for sale for $12 an hour. And what would you say to people who were being hurt by the turnstop or the high chair? You'd call in a fixer, a maintenance man. You'd close the turnstop and say, come around another way.
I feel like he doesn't understand systemic issues. The problem is, Chilie, to make it a more apt metaphor, let's even pretend everything you're saying about handcuffs is true. I don't think it is. I'm just trying to fix your metaphor. But if you really want to understand systemic issues, then you should have a worker who's paid $12 an hour, and all of the people who work there on the floor level seeing that and going, that sucks, we should get that fixed. And then they bring it to their manager, and their manager says, well, that's not my department, I'll put in a maintenance request with corporate, and then corporate sits on it and it gets passed around and added to a stack of things. That's what systemic problems are. Systemic problems aren't every individual person choosing to be evil. It's that a system doing injustices spreads culpability out thin enough that no individual person feels responsible for something bad happening. He doesn't even understand the issue he's trying to fight. It's crazy. He thinks that his job is to go in to tell every individual cop you shouldn't be a cop. Like, that's gonna fix the problem. I don't even know how he thinks this works. Hydrate.
What would you not do? You would say, well, if you want pizza, you're gonna have to get hurt. Now, the cops say it's not supposed to be comfortable. But what if we decide to pay you $40 an hour and then told you that you're above these people, that you're better than these people, and you're not just doing a job, you're doing a service. And now we're going to give you a military ranking that you never earned. See, there's a guy above you and there's a guy below you, and now you're a part of this bigger thing.
Oh,
you couldn't find a job.
This is hilarious how derisive he is. And again, like, I don't have any particular feelings towards correctional officers at all, but the saltiness with which he calls them dorks here in a second is so funny. He's in jail, you know? There's guards around. He's pissed off that they have power over him. And the best he can do is to call them dorks.
With a dental plan and a vision plan. You couldn't find a job with an eye plan before. And the plan will cover every single person in your household, including your mom or your mother-in-law, as long as she lives in your house. What do you care if someone gets whacked or puts in the backseat of a car? You don't care. It doesn't affect you at all. You're important. You never get this kind of prestige and respect in your life. You used to drive a forklift. You used to work at Pet Boys, changing oil in a pit. You used to be a truck driver, alone for days and even weeks. Now other men salute you. You've got tons of buddies, and the money and...
Do correctional officers salute each other? I don't think they do. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think that's a thing.
The benefits are unbelievable. Look at your uniform. Look how important you are. Let's be honest. You're still the dork from the 4th row in history class. You're still with a town bully or the town drunk. You still and always will be pathetic because you took a job where you torture and hurt people. You would never get to associate or hang out with the cool kids unless you were arresting them.
You're not a cool kid like me. The only way you could hang out with a cool kid like me, Chilie DeCastro, was arresting me, you dorks. That's why you arrested me. Not because I did something illegal, but because I'm so cool and you're such a dork.
And you've taken the bribe and the benefit and the racket. It's all about you. And then you say they're not supposed to be comfortable because you learned it from another dork who happens to be 60. And they're
dorks. You're all dorks.
Young dorks like you to be insensitive, cruel.
He's so mad.
And inhumane for who? For themselves.
Hold on, I need my Beams device for psychic damage.
If any of you cops wanted to actually serve any communities, there would be an outright rebellion and a mutiny about the torture cuffs. You cannot serve a community by serving them torture and fear every second of every single day, and then say it's in the name of your safety. Sorry, it just doesn't compute. Say it out loud. They're not supposed to be safe as you snort. These torture cuffs are for officer safety, but you're not an officer. Officer means duty, honor, respect, civility, service. Those are the 5 words I think of off the top of my head. And when you think of the word officer, duty, the duty to treat other human beings with compassion and dignity, honor those.
Remember that time Chilie said he hoped everyone who disagrees with him, children, get bone cancer? That was real compassionate of him.
Others you would want to be handled and how you would want to be treated. Humanity is respect. Civility is to treat people with the same civility that you'd want for yourself and for your brother. And service is the needs of other people and the needs of the community. And here's what John Galt says in the book Atlas Shrugged.
Oh no! Here, let me heal your psychic damage before he reads you Atlas Shrugged. Do you feel it? Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?
Man cannot survive except for by knowledge and reason. It's his only means to gain it. All thinking is a process of identification and integration. Reality,
Thanks for gifting a sub to Italian Shakespeare, Anonymous.
that which exists. The most depraved you can now utter is when you ask, whose reason? The answer is your reason. Your mind is your only judge of truth. Man's reason is his moral faculty, a process.
You hate that I agree with him? That's fine.
Of-
He more or less uses criticism of the police as a way to self-aggrandize.
Constant change is the answer to the
Who's John Galt, main character of Atlas Shrugged.
question. In the beginning, the question is this right or wrong? A rational moral process must take shape. Devotion to truth is the hallmark of morality. There is no greater, nobler, more heroic form of devotion than the act of a man who assumes the responsibility of thinking. Directly from Atlas Shrugged. You who have signed up to be the enforcer, to be the cop, have lost morality because you've decided to turn off your mind and to
Chilie's
stop
a
thinking.
prime mover, don't you know? And with his super engine, he's gonna go to space.
All critical thought has left your vessel, and it's been replaced by your selfish, self-centered looting and robbing, the people who pay your paychecks and all your benefits. You have lost yourself, and you are the robber of humanity. You will say that you were just following orders. It's the system.
Oh, you're right, he had Galt's Gulch.
System of weak, impotent men who have sold their souls to the state because you are not a man of ability and knowledge. You are not a producer. You have no product. You are the tyranny. You are the parasite that works deep within the meat of the pig. And here is why you are what you are. This comes directly from the book. That's what you call your soul or your spirit is your consciousness. And that what you call free will is the mind to think or not to think. Thinking is man's only basic virtue from which all others are processed.
That's why I remembered him as the main character, is because he gives he's the one that gives the ridiculous fucking speech at the end.
Of blanking out, the willful suspension of one's conscience, the refusal to think, not blindness, the refusal to see, not ignorance, but the refusal to know.
He's acting like the book is the Bible. I mean, it is the Bible for libertarians.
Is the act of unfocusing
That
your
and the
mind
Fountainhead.
and an inner fog to escape the responsibility of judgment. On the
Zack Snyder also fucking loves the Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. So.
unstated premise that a thing will not exist if only you refuse to identify it. Now, what does that mean?
It's the kind of books that are big in the Mojo Dojo Casa house.
Will say they're not supposed
Chilie's on that Bioshock shit. Oh yeah.
to be comfortable. You have abdicated.
Why do people consider Ayn Rand to be a good author again? Because they justify their selfishness and turn their selfishness internally into altruism, and it makes them feel better for being shitty people.
responsibility. You have turned
That's a very leftist way of looking at Atlas Shrugged, of course, but
off your
that's
mind,
my view. That's what I think.
your humanity, and your morality.
She's right. Me being selfish is actually the right thing to do.
Not only torture another person, you have created and repeat catchphrases and mantras to absolve yourself of responsibility for your putrid behavior. With every generation, there are new, bright young humans who can and do see the world in new ways. Yet you chose to turn off your mind and simply say, I'm only doing as I'm told. And you
I don't
accept
think
the ways
Will
of
Kill. Do
despotism.
you know all the weird shit I own? I have literal Nazi. I have Leni Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will up here, and you're embarrassed about owning fucking want to own the Fountainhead? It's fine. You can own things out of disgust. That's actually pretty good. The Triumph of the Will set comes with a commentary track from a historian that gives context to it, and it's really interesting. I'm not going to recommend you buy it necessarily, but if you get a chance to listen to the commentary at some point, it is a disturbing look back at the history of Nazi propaganda and just how total the Nazi control over social institutions were. Scary stuff. Screaming at the Radio says, one day Zack Snyder will film an adaptation of Bioshock. We'll see who laughs then. The day that happens, I will cry. I will cry.
Them in slave chains via quips and jargon.
I could totally see him being like, is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? Totally!
You, the young, the new, are supposed to be brave, but yet you accept the status quo.
You have 1 minute left.
The torturous abuse you do to nonviolent persons who you do not care about and will never be a threat makes you a thug.
Chilie, would you kindly stop sucking Ayn Rand's girl dick?
You youngsters do not put your courage up and think to challenge the evil system which you joined for your own personal gain. You fear the loss and the gain of what you never earned and are not entitled to receive because you created nothing. You produced nothing. You earned nothing.
What do you produce, Chilie? You're a fucking YouTuber!
But the quiet and open
I just find it really ironic when, like, YouTubers get obsessed with this idea of, like, what is value? Like, is streaming or YouTube, like, who cares? Who the fuck cares? We're not gonna sit down and decide what jobs are jobs. That's not how this works.
hatred.
But also don't sit there and be like, other people aren't real producers, but I am as a YouTube creator. It's fucking embarrassing.
That you receive from a daunted public. You are the worst of all persons America can get, and a lot of us openly despise you. And I call what I see exactly what I see. I call you dirty, I call you selfish, and I have called you a pig. Even though my words will change, that doesn't mean that my thoughts have changed. And now a little bit more from Atlas Shrugged, page 1018 to 1020. Non-thinking is an act of annihilation, a wish to negate existence, an attempt to wipe out reality. By refusing to say it is, you are refusing to say I am. By suspending your judgment, you are negating your person. When a man declares, who am I
Disagreeing with their beliefs are negating their own judgment, by the way.
to know, he's declaring, who am I to live? Thinking in every hour and every issue is your basic moral choice. Man's only moral commitment is, thou shalt think. Ayn Rand. The reason why
I like that he ended that with Ayn Rand, like, yeah, wasn't that awesome? No! No, it was terrible!
that the police can't get people to sign up is because you, the new, the old, and the young cops can and do not think through what you are doing. That's why you can't get people to sign up. People are seeing your policies, procedures, and protocols, and they are withdrawing from your oppression. We, the overwhelming majority, refuse to surrender to a despotistic state. Yes, of course, will some still choose? Yes, they will. But we now know...
There's always a place for entertainment and entertainers in society, Hannah. Let me know where you find some entertainment.
that with the majority of people who are in the presence of authority and being arrested, the majority of them,
The
once
joke is that I'm self-deprecating.
on video and once a tracking device is attached to them, the overwhelming majority will easily
Now, I don't know what happened to the 1 minute
to
warning.
authority. Songs don't make a right. It's far deeper. Oppressive. Honesty, justice.
Trying to see if there's anything else he gets
I
into
call
before we
them
move on to the
the
next one.
companies.
No, he just keeps going with that shit. Yesterday's message from the dungeon from 5 days ago.
Hello, Team DLZ. Today is April 17th, 2024. I've now been in the dungeon for 1 month. My name is Chilie Castro. I'm a journalist who's been wrongfully imprisoned in the Clark County Detention Center by what no one could see other than a biased judge, Ann Zimmerman, and a cop who lied on the stand. The video evidence is 100% clear. I am an innocent man who's living inside of a dungeon. Now, I'm coming up on a month here, and I tell you, this has been trying. This has been emotionally and spiritually trying. I'm in a place where they don't have any sort of mental health help here in Nevada, and so I'm...
He's claiming that there's no mental services anywhere in Nevada. I find that a little hard to believe, but there is certainly a problem in prisons and jails that we don't treat mental health issues as mental health issues. We criminalize it, and people with mental illness end up in the system and end up stuck there for the rest of their lives, and it's very sad.
surrounded by several crazy people who are completely and utterly schizophrenic, talking to people who
Yeah, he said he was going to get out in a month. Of course he didn't.
are not there at all whatsoever. And others who don't seem crazy when you first talk to them, and then just a moment or two later, they will tell you how they helped solve the Jeffrey Epstein case and how they're actually helping to make sure that kids don't get trafficked to Epstein.
The irony here is that Chilie doesn't understand that he is one of these delusional people. Not to the clinical extent. I'm not saying Chilie has anything diagnosable, but he's clearly delusional. He thinks he's gonna be a governor. Like, Chilie's doing the same thing. He's sitting there and being like, yeah, I'm in here for 6 months. I'm a journalist, and I was in here for filming the cops, and I'm gonna get out, and I'm gonna become the governor, and I'm gonna change the whole system. Like, Chilie, you're doing the same thing. You are spouting delusional nonsense and exacerbating or exaggerating your importance. You're doing the same thing. Hydrate. This is empty. I need to go get water. I'm back. GamerG says the way Chilie's jail calls are so unnecessarily dramatic, it sounds like a Key and Peele skit making fun of bad after-school special you'd see on MTV or Public Access in the 90s.
Island anymore. That's what I heard the other day. So, I am not suicidal in any way, shape, or form. I love life. I have talked to my...
Again, he's saying that as if he's in... as if he is in actual danger of being, let's say, Epsteined. His sense of self-importance is heightened to unbelievable levels.
I have talked to my attorney, and my attorney has told me about the July 10th, that's actually May 9th that the attorney's filing the brief. He's the appeal brief. He has told me about the brief, given me intimate details about the brief. I don't think that any person who is for justice, freedom, and liberty, I don't think any person who really truly cares about truth will be able to read the brief that Chris Oram is going to submit on May 9th and then be heard July 10th. I don't think anybody could read it and then say, I'm going to leave that man in jail. I just don't.
I don't think anything's going to happen at his July hearing either, if it even actually goes through. It might be like the last one where they just did a written decision and didn't even have him come in. I don't think there's any reason for Chilie to be let out on this. There's just not. I'm not a lawyer, though. So,
see how
we'll see, but I don't have high hopes for him.
That's possible. But yet again, though, I didn't think that there would be any way that I could be put in jail. When my supposed crime was on video, I did step back. There is no 21-foot rule, and I was...
He didn't step back. He did a cursory, no, bullshit.
Not given due notice. So I didn't think that it was possible. I really didn't. But we are living in a tyrannical system. This is not a rule of law system. This is a tyrannical system that is based on officer safety, the first tenet of Terry versus Ohio from 1968. That's why I rally against it so much. So I'm okay. I have finished the book Atlas Shrugged. Atlas Shrugged. I've read numerous books in my life, and
numerous. I bet he could even name like 3 books he's read.
Now, Atlas Shrugged is by far my favorite book of all time.
That's unfortunate. What were the other books? Fennikagami says, I'm not sure Rand would like you, Chilie. People like you are leeches. You don't really produce anything even more than Rand's prime movers don't. Ayn Rand and Thomas Sowell are such blights on our society, convincing stupid people they're smart by making thoughts children have sound smart. But in reality, you don't even need to know theory to tear their ideas apart. Ayn Rand knew it too. Anytime she got pushback, she ran from prodding questions.
Never read anything quite like it before.
Stone Corbell says Chilie's going to get exponentially more insufferable now that he's gotten a taste of Rand. He hasn't even read any other ones yet. He's only read Atlas Shrugged. Can you imagine?
If you really want to challenge yourself, it's 1,170 pages. I highly recommend you read the book. Of course, I read it in just a couple weeks because I'm stuck inside of a dungeon where they literally keep you in your bed all day. I'm getting soft. I'm getting soft like the Pillsbury Doughboy. I look down at my little belly and I got a little soft little tummy.
Whatever happened, Chilie? I thought you were doing sit-ups all day, every day. You were running at 100% efficiency, so you didn't have to hear the crackles and pops.
Because, as you know, there's not a gym here. There's an outside place where you can go do some push-ups and do some pull-ups, but how much do you want to shower? How much time do you want to spend in the same clothes that you wear for at least a week? How many underpants do you want to wash out with soap? Not any soap, a piece of bar soap. When you use the bar soap, as soon as you rinse it, it
Wait, is there something wrong with bar soap?
dissipates
Is he, like, aghast that they're not giving him, like, apricot body wash?
immediately. So, this is the epitome of what must be changed. This is the epitome of a dungeon
This is the epitome of strength.
system. It is so preposterous. It is so ridiculous. The way we are treated is as though we are
Gatsby Cat 22, thanks for 10 months. Appreciate it.
children. It is not an educational system created to make you better. It is an absolute, total, ridiculous nightmare. And then every single day, every single shift, a new guard comes on every 12 hours. And some of those guys, not so bad. You know, they just are going through the motions of what they're told to do. Some of them are pretty special. They're pretty special. They take themselves entirely too seriously, and they treat us as though we are second graders. Quiet, no talking. Quiet, don't talk. This is one of my 9 pet peeves. It's just...
One of his 9 pet peeves. What are the other 8? Also, Chilie, where do you think you are? Yeah, you're getting treated like they're in charge of you. Because they are, because you're in jail. Does he not understand that jail is not like the real world? Like, yes, in jail, explicitly some of your rights are taken away. These are not new information to anyone.
It's just the most ridiculous system. It doesn't help anybody or make anybody a better person. It is preposterous. But, you know, it's a month now. I'm in here for a month now. Looking forward to July 10th. I'm okay. You know, I'm all right. You know, make sure you keep it going. OTVO, overturn Terry versus Ohio. That's what we have to get done. And when I get out of here, you guys are going to see a man on a mission like you have never seen before. Because now I have very specific targets that are local, that I can take on in a multitude of ways, and I'll need your help. I'll need your help. I'm only the tip of the spear. You are the weight of the spear. Don't be down for me. Don't cry for me. Keep your chin up. Be strong. We get through this together. We don't stop. I'm not giving up by any
Yeah,
means.
like, I don't even disagree that we should focus more on education and rehabilitation, but, like, I don't understand. He's acting like he's breaking news. He's acting like he thinks everyone's perception of prison or jail is already some, like, institution where you are trained and learn. No, Chilie, we know. We've seen. One of the biggest shows in the fucking country was Orange is the New Black like 5 years ago. People know what jail and prison are like. They suck. They suck ass, man. We know.
And you know what? Now that
Maybe you should have been working for reforms in a way that made sense instead of just harassing people and instigating confrontations constantly.
I got a full perspective of the trial, the sham tyrannical by Ann Zimmerman. Look, you know, you have to show decorum in court, but she didn't show decorum.
She didn't, because she's a woman and he's going to claim she got really emotional. But he didn't get emotional, because as we all know, men's anger is never an emotion.
Started off by searching me, which is completely out of bounds. She was so far out of line, the things she did, and that searching of me triggered me. Then I called the bailiff a pig, and that
He called the bailiff a pig because when Chilie came into court, he put his feet up on the desk that not only he has to use today, he put his goddamn feet up with his shoes and everything on the defendant's desk, And the bailiff said, hey, put your feet down. That's disrespectful. Because, like, it's a courthouse. It is. I wouldn't even do that at someone I knew's house, much less a fucking courtroom. But Chilie's Chilie, so he thinks he can do that, and when he gets told, hey, don't do that, he's an infant, so of course he freaks out and calls the guy a pig.
And that was the entire temperament of that sham trial, where the cops lied on the stand. Listen, we don't stop.
What does he mean by advocating for education, Trey? You've listened to more of some of this stuff than I have in terms of, like, I know we've talked. For those who don't know, Trey and I have talked about conspiracies and stuff off stream, because Trey is also interested in that stuff. And Trey has said to me that he's interested in, like, what Chilie's ideas for a better system are, which I'm not as into. So, like, what does he mean by advocating for education? Because you or I would probably say that and think, oh, okay, you know, GED classes, which are already available in a lot of places, you know? Higher education or job training. Sure, great things. But what does he mean?
I'm not going to stop. And listen, all I can do with Zimmerman is put a media campaign on her to let people know that she's unjust and unfair, and she's not fit for the bench. You don't put someone in jail who has no criminal record on a first-time offense. She is honestly, you know, I'm going to withhold too much commentary because according to a couple of my sources, they can listen to my recorded phone calls. The judge can listen to
Gasp! Yeah, they tell you your phone calls are being recorded. Like, at the beginning of the call.
my recorded phone calls. She can listen to them in case I might be threatening her. Aw, are you kidding me? And where in my history, in the entire history of my life, has there been a 911 call saying, oh my god, this guy's threatening me? It's never.
The multiple restraining orders against you, including the one from your ex-girlfriend that was granted that said you were trying to break into her house while saying violent things and wanting to beat up her new boyfriend, and saying you were going to send, what was it? A Colombian hitman? You said you were going to spend $1,000 on a Colombian hitman from Colombia to come and kill your ex-girlfriend and her fiance or boyfriend? That 911 call?
Never happened.
Isn't it annoying when people just lie? Just like that? Like, if you didn't know the things I know about Chilie, didn't have the police documents and stuff, and hadn't read them on stream, you would just believe this guy. He's a fucking liar.
Where is the hospital report of somebody I've heard? It's never happened. Show me a criminal record where I've done something criminal. It doesn't exist. So I'm upset with this whole process.
Colombia because he claims to be from Colombia, because he claims his dad worked with, what's his face, the drug guy I talked about earlier, Pablo Escobar, and then claimed that after his dad went to jail for working with Pablo Escobar, his family moved to Alaska. These are things that Chilie has claimed.
But I'm looking forward to July 10th. What are we?
I know he did live in Alaska at one point, because he has some traffic records from Alaska, but
84.
he literally wants a revolving door when you just give abusers a stern talking to, then let you out after. He wants basically all prisons replaced by opt-in classes and seminars. I do actually remember that. He basically, which is not shocking considering the alleged domestic violence, like threats that he has made in the past, according to his ex's restraining order requests. It's not really shocking to me that he thinks that you can just tell a domestic abuser, why don't you just stop?
Days away, 83 days away from July 10th. We're not going to stop. You guys keep going. Don't stop. Help me share the videos that the editor's cutting. Those trifold videos that are coming out, share them with your friends. Make sure they get a trifold in your car. As I write my memoirs here, I reiterate again to you, and I reiterate to myself as I write my memoirs, please, the Fifth Amendment. Don't get stuck in a back and forth with some JBTP whose goal is to arrest.
They had video, Chilie. Your testimony did not... I mean, it didn't help you. It probably hurt you a little bit. But I think either way you were going to be found guilty, to be honest.
You impound your car, take you to the dungeon, and steal your...
But yes, if you hadn't been openly antagonistic in court, you probably wouldn't have gotten as long a sentence as you did. Wouldn't disagree.
Or money. That has not changed one single bit. what is their goal? Pull you over, arrest you, impound your car,
Yes, that restraining order was granted. It was granted.
and
Hi, Drake.
steal your money. And along the way, you're going to be put in torture cuffs. Which, now that I've been in here and I've been writing, that is going to become a primary focus. I'm going to start taking local steps to get rid of torture cuffs. The idea that you have to turn around and put your arms behind your
Does he really think in Las Vegas he's going to start a successful campaign to ban handcuffs? In Las Vegas, a city with probably the highest proportion of unruly drunks in the world? You know how many people probably end up in the drunk tank in Las Vegas? I would imagine a lot. It's not a drunk tank, it's a drunk aquarium.
That is the lowest hanging fruit. We now have cameras, we now have air tags. We no longer need to shackle your wrists behind your back.
Everyone knows you can't punch a cop in the face if you have an air tag on.
You are a slave and owned property. That's ridiculous. The moment your boss sees you, the moment your employers, your employees see you, the moment your family sees you, the moment another copper sees you with your arms chained behind your back, you turn into something different in everybody's mind. And that has
And
got
it sounds like there should be laws against publishing the names of people who are arrested until conviction.
to change. We can't put up with it. We can't tolerate it. We have to band together to get rid of these torture cuffs.
He also implied you shouldn't get in trouble if you get in a brawl if both throw punches. That doesn't surprise me. He strikes me as a mutual combat guy.
And they're billions of dollars. It's a billion-dollar corporation. Someone told me today this is Smith & Wesson built them. I'm not sure. I'd like to see you guys compile a list of the #1 manufacturing torture cuff company. Who's the #2 manufacturing torture cuff company? That's who's going to write the bad press about me. That's who's going to stop me as I run for governor. That's who's going to stop me. That's who's going to try to stop me because they can't stop me because we don't stop under any circumstances, under any conditions. We don't stop. I love you guys. Thank you for your support. And for all you guys who donated to my GoFundMe, to my Cash App, my Venmo, my PayPal, thank you so much. You literally have made it so that I can keep going. They won't be able to destroy my business. They won't be able to destroy the appeal process. We will appeal this
Actually, they don't care to destroy your business. It's not their job to destroy your business. They don't give a shit. They're literally just holding you until your sentence is over.
wrongful conviction all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court if we have to. We will
The implication that he thinks he's getting a misdemeanor charge up to the Supreme Court is so funny. He thinks he's going to argue and appeal a misdemeanor to the Supreme Court.
not stop until the conviction is stripped. You cannot have a journalist arrested and charged with crimes for filming a cop. There was no
You weren't charged for filming a cop. You were charged for getting in the middle of a traffic stop and talking to the person who was stopped and getting in the middle and fucking up the traffic stop.
difference between me and anybody else who films a cop where the cops killed somebody. But the difference is I was alone and they targeted me because they're tired of being embarrassed when I expose
There's no evidence they targeted you. No one knows who you are.
what JBTPs they actually are. And that's the real deal. That's the whole thing. Zimmerman must have watched. How many hours do you think? Put it in the chat. How many hours do you think Zimmerman watches my videos?
This is interesting, because to me, I get the feeling that Chilie spends a lot of his time being mad about the judge that put him in jail. So he assumes that on the other end, she must be obsessed with him and watching his videos, which I don't think is the case. She may have seen a video or two. I don't think she spends time at all thinking about Chilie, but Chilie spends a lot of time thinking about her, and he is projecting that onto her, and it's kind of weird.
I'm going to say she watches dozens of hours of my videos. She's addicted.
You have 1 minute left.
She's absolutely addicted because she can't stop herself. She wants to see what she hates the most. She can't wait to look into my eyes on my videos and say, I put him in jail. It's so wrong. It's so wrong.
Again, just
Anyway, all right, I'll let you
making
guys go.
claims
Thank
about
you for
her
coming. I
internal
appreciate
state
it.
of
Thank you
mind.
for listening. I'll see you guys on the next one. I love you all. Later.
Sorry, I'm doing a bank thing on my phone. I'm really distracted. I'll be done in a second once I transfer this. Okay. Sorry about that. Oh no, he did another Atlas
I wanted to
Shrugged.
talk about the book that I just finished called Atlas Shrugged. Atlas Shrugged is a manifesto in how to live your life. And I've learned so much from it that I wanted to share with you guys exactly what I learned. And you'll see the changes that I do when I get out of here, because I know that my morality now is a combination of reason, purpose, and self-esteem. Something I wasn't able to put in those words as easily as Ayn Rand puts it in Atlas Shrugged. It's an 1100 and something page read, 170 pages. So it's quite a commitment. But there's a passage in here.
My God, Chilie.
On page 1062, that if you listen to what Ayn
Never read a Harry Potter book, apparently.
Rand writes in this passage, speaking through one of the characters in the book, it'll speak to you as well, especially for me as I'm sitting in this dungeon when I'm innocent and I haven't committed a crime. And this is on page 1062,
If Chilie looked at a copy of Les Mis, his brain would bleed.
and it says this: the only proper purpose of government is to protect man's rights, which means to protect him from physical violence. A proper government is only a policeman acting as an agent of the man for his self-defense, and as such, may resort to force only against those who start the use of force. The only proper functions of government are the police to protect you from the criminals, the army to protect you from foreign invaders, and the courts to protect your property and contracts from breaches or frauds by others, to settle disputes by rational rules according to objective law. A government that initiates the employment of force against men who have forced no one. The employment of... I never in my life thought I would be in jail. I never...
I'm done with Chilie for the day, because holy shit, his whole Atlas Shrugged thing is just exhausting to me. God damn, dude.
Because Ronald Reagan had created a for-profit Pablo.
Thanks, man.
If you guys don't...
He filmed this before he went to jail, but it was released recently. This is where he talks about his dad working with Pablo Escobar.
know my personal history, my father, I'm Colombian. My father was arrested when I was 5 years old and was put in prison for 20 years for chemicals. He worked for a guy named Pablo. And my family, when that happened, we moved to Alaska. And I was raised in...
To be clear, is Chilie aware that Pablo Escobar didn't just sell the drugs? Like, there was other illegal shit going on around the drugs. Like, there was murder and, like, all sorts of fucked up stuff, to be clear. Like, was your dad just moving the drugs, or was he giving, like, Colombian neckties? What was he doing? Profane Priestess says, God, Chilie so desperately wants people to think he's smart. That's why he keeps citing Rand. He wants to intellectualize his selfish, self-important bullshit, and it's so obvious. That's basically what Rand's for. Should have picked a better philosopher. No one takes Rand seriously. Douchebags, too. And that's his target demo.
In Alaska. And part of that reason is because of my father's associations. And for a long time, I felt really bad about myself. That I came from bad stock. That I had some sort of criminality to me, that I was some sort of bad person.
You're not a bad person because of your father. You're a bad person because of the choices you make.
Because my father went to prison for 20 years. What I learned was that it was a prison business. They demonized chemicals so that they could lock up as many people as they can.
Oh wow, he's really gonna act like Pablo Escobar did nothing wrong. This is not a situation where I'm like, drugs. No, this is the situation of Pablo Escobar was objectively a horrifying person who was involved in many, many deaths. Like, that was not a situation where they were just, like, trying to get him for no good reason, I promise.
Because Ronald Reagan had created a for-profit prison industry. Today it's called Civic Core. It's a blue chip stock that Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and Biden are all invested in. They all have stock in Civic Core. That's the name of the stock. And what I came to find out was that just because you get arrested and go to the dungeon, you might not be a bad person. And what I also found out is that...
Wait, you didn't learn not everyone in jail is a bad person until you were an adult?
I'm
Oh,
not
God.
bad at all. I'm a really good human being. And just because my dad went to prison has absolutely zero reflection on my soul of who I am as a human being. But it took a long time to get there. I was 40 years old before I finally realized it was a scam. And my father was Colombian, dark brown, big gold chains. You know, baby, everything's going to be okay, baby. Everything's going to be okay, baby. Don't worry about anything, baby. It's going to be okay, baby. Don't worry about it. We're going to get the lawyer. We're going to take his care. We're going to take care of this. Don't worry about anything, baby. It was my father. He had no idea going to court in his big butterfly collar with his gold chain. He had no chance he was going to the dungeon. So
Yeah, if you work with Pablo Escobar, you're gonna... Yep. That's not a miscarriage of justice, Chilie. No, like, I'm sorry. That sounds like it sucks. I'm sorry you grew up without a dad, but holy shit, dude. This is not a situation where he got, like, fucked by the system. He was working with a notorious drug kingpin who murdered people. Like, he's not selling dime bags down the street. He is actively involved in a very dangerous, murderous criminal enterprise. These are not the same things.
did you guys hear the guards beating the person in the background?
Chilie, even propaganda acknowledges that not everyone who goes to prison is a bad person. Yeah.
If you haven't been in the dungeon and experienced that when the guards are beating someone a few feet away from you, it's terrifying.
Alright, there was nothing else interesting in that video. Moving on from Chilie, because holy shit, too much. Let's do a nice
Next
court
matter
one.
is
Court will give us some structure. It'll be perfect.
State of Kansas versus Gordon Cooley. Case number is 24TR65. Are you Gordon Cooley? You'll need to unmute your screen, sir.
Yes, I am the man that is that person.
I am the man.
So you're Gordon Cooley?
Is that person?
Yep.
Very well. State appears by Jill Gillette, County Attorney. Mr. Cooley, there's been an amended complaint filed on, it looks like April 17th. You're charged with driving while suspended as a second offense as for on or about March the 25th of 2024 in Elk County, Kansas. If indeed you have a prior conviction where this would be a second offense, that's a Class A misdemeanor. A Class A misdemeanor is punishable up to 1 year in the county jail and a fine not to exceed $2,500. Additionally,
Okay, so this is the second time he's been caught driving while on a suspended license. For that, he could go to jail for up to a year. So take it seriously.
with a second offense for driving while suspended, there's a mandatory 5-day minimum sentence. However, a person can be placed on probation from that. But there is mandatory sentence that would have to be imposed. Do you understand what you're charged with?
No, I don't quite understand those no, I don't.
What's your question?
I do not understand. I do not stand under your authority.
In regards to what you're charged with?
Well, I think this is a matter of a mistaken identity.
Oh no, he's pulling this one? This is rare. Okay, so this is sort of the underlying implicit... How do I put this? In terms of a lot of the sovereign citizen stuff, there is sort of an implied scam here where you are trying to divorce yourself from the culpability for your actions. He's literally saying it. He is literally trying to act as though he is not the person who has been charged with this. Which he is. So that's not good.
My persons was never involved in anything. I'm carrying my property from point A to point B. I have there's no vested interest.
Were you carrying it? Were you carrying your car? Or was the car carrying you? Because those are two very different things.
The state even stopped me. I'm exercising my God-given constitutionally protected rights. And I stated that to the man acting as the police officer. I didn't present him with a license.
You are charged, sir.
The man acting as the police officer. Trying to divorce him from the title is to put him on the same level of authority as the cop. Sir, We are in a place where symbols and identity matters a lot. I know that we're all just people, and that's great. But symbols and identities exist for a reason. A courtroom's a place where those identities are very important. The role of the judge is very different as a human being than your role as the defendant. You're both people, you both have the same rights and dignities, but you also have the same responsibilities. And in this courtroom, the judge is in charge. And in our world, and out in the world, laws apply to you. I don't understand how he doesn't get that.
Hold on. You're
Yeah,
charged
man versus person bit.
with driving while suspended, a second offense. That would indicate to me that you've had a first offense.
No,
So have you been in court before on this type of charge?
nope, not on driving while suspended. No, I have not.
Oh, he's just okay. I don't know if that's true or not, but based on the what he's been charged with, I kind of doubt it. Let's see what the clerk says.
All right. Well, that is what you're charged with. You don't have to agree with it. You
I
can.
have Zapp's potato chips up there. Let me look at what it looks like.
Certainly, that is an issue at trial. If you feel you have a defense, as with the others that I've explained, you have certain rights. You are charged with a misdemeanor, so you are entitled to be represented by a counsel. And if you wish to apply for court-appointed counsel,
No, we do not have these, though I have seen them because I know that they sell them, like in Louisiana, in the South, but I've never had them, I don't believe.
The financial guidelines, I would appoint one to represent you. You also have the right to represent yourself. You also have the right to have counsel of your own choosing at your own expense. So at this time, if you wish to have a trial, if you wish to speak with an attorney or counsel, would he qualify under any programs you have since you charge this as a second offense?
No.
All right. So apparently diversion wouldn't be an option for you. So if you're wishing to have a trial or to speak with an attorney, your plea at this time should be not guilty. If you wish to plead guilty, then we'd proceed to sentencing. But based upon what you're telling me, those would be issues that could be addressed at trial. So at this time, how do you wish to plead?
I don't plan to plea. I guess I'll answer.
Okay, then you're standing mute, so he'll enter in a plea of not guilty. You're not the first person to think that just shutting the fuck up is going to make the whole thing stop.
The formative demurs is not acquiesced to quasi-jurisdiction.
If you are if you're not going to enter a formal plea, you're standing mute, and I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf.
Okay, I exercise my right to trial by jury then. I'd like to face the man or the woman that claims I've done them harm or loss.
Again, they're trying to do the corpus delicti strategy. Doesn't work.
Mr. Cooley, if you wish to have a trial by jury.
I'm Gordy. I'm not Mr. Cooley. I'm Gordy. I'm a man. I'm not a person.
Again, he's trying to de-title everyone. He's trying to get us out of the world of, like, titles and identities of, like, this is the judge and he's the defendant. Nope, that's where we are. You can't eschew these identities in this specific context because this is the context where those identities mean something and are important.
All right. Mr. Cooley.
Can I ask you a question, sir?
You need to be quiet for a moment. I'm going to explain what the situation is. You have the right to be represented by counsel. You entered a plea, refusing to enter a plea, which is fine. A person can stand mute, and I will set this matter for trial. If you wish to be or have a jury trial, you have the right to do so. However, you need to do that in the proper form. With a misdemeanor offense, you have to file a written motion for that request. Otherwise, it's set before the court. So you would need to do that in a timely way. If you're going to represent yourself, you would have to follow the rules as though you're an attorney. So all of those things would, most people don't have the training to where if they're going to do a jury trial, they're better off being represented by counsel. But that's a choice that you're going to have to make.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you may.
Can there be a valid cause of action without an injured party?
The injured party is society.
Sir, that's not a valid question for what we're doing here today.
I've
Hell yeah, Melee Who. Congrats on the new job.
tried settling this matter in the private twice. If you have any papers
What does he think in the private means in this context?
in front of you with my signature on them,
Does he just mean he ignored previous rulings? Because that would be why we're here. I settled this before. Did you? Because you're back in court over the same thing. It doesn't sound like you settled it.
because that is what was required for me to get away from my captors. I don't understand what a man thinks that he has the authority to take another man and throw them in a box when they have harmed no man or woman, no
Mr.
claim
Cooley,
has been brought
Mr.
against
Cooley,
them.
you need to be quiet now. We're going to give you a court date, and you can advise me how you're going to proceed at that court date. If you're going to apply for a jury trial, then you'll need to make that application by that time. Otherwise, you'll be set for a bench trial. That's before the court. Sarah, could you give us a date, please?
What sort of time frame would you like, Judge? 30 minutes?
Approximately 30 days, 30 minutes would be fine.
We can do May 15th at 2:30.
At
Judge,
2:30?
I'm out that afternoon. We could do 11:30 if there's nothing else scheduled there.
We put that for a trial and for an hour, didn't we? So
We could, if you only need 30 minutes, we could do the 11 to 12.
well, we said something at 10:30, I believe, or was it the 10 o'clock that was set for trial?
It was the 10:30 to 11:30 that was set.
Okay, let's set this at 11:30 for a pretrial. So, Mr. Cooley, you will need to appear at the courthouse in Howard. And if you're going to file a motion for a jury trial, you need to have done so by that time. If you're going to hire an attorney, you need to do that. If you're going to apply for an attorney, I would suggest that you do that as soon as possible, so that you can have counsel at that time.
Am I going to be able to face the man or the woman that has a claim before me, or are you going to discharge the matter? If there's not a man or a woman here, then this matter needs to be discharged.
Sir, I've heard these arguments before, and those are not legal arguments. Somebody's made these things.
I'm not a member of the legal society.
Sir,
I'm not a member of the legal society. I never signed a contract to be a member of this so-called society.
Can you bring the law to the court, please? Can we bring the law to the court?
Can we bring the law into the court? Presumptuous.
Mr. Cooley, stop interrupting. At your hearing, if you have motions that you wish to have heard, you can file them in advance. I would strongly recommend you be represented by counsel. But your court appearance is May 15th at 11:30, and you are to be here in person.
I will invoke my common law rights. That's how
we are adjourned.
Sheesh.
You're free to go at this time.
In his head, I wonder if he thought he said, "I'm free to go. I don't have to come back next time." Let's see. What Sobsit Grandma's going to talk about January 6th. Don't know what this is going to be about.
Wanted to get in a...
The flag behind her, some sovereign citizens claim, is the secret, actual peacetime flag of the United States. It's not. It's just an American flag with the stars and field behind it with their colors inverted. But anyway, if you see that, that's probably a sovereign citizen. If you see that. Oh yeah, it's very ugly. Yeah.
A comment here about the whole
Vexology is their passion.
January 6th thing, because so many people are confused by that. You'll notice that the mainstream talking heads have shifted things around so that they're calling it the January 6th insurrection, though it was by no means an insurrection within the meaning and the intent of the insurrection law.
We didn't mean it, guys. We were just joshing ya. How Sobsits feel when they pull this BS. Threw it on the ground. I can't play any more of that for copyright reasons, but Thank you.
Good to know.
Okay. The insurrection law was adopted early on, 1790 something, to prevent groups that were trying to split off and do their own thing, and were armed groups, people that were actually going to come shoot up the Capitol or, kill.
Ma'am, first of all, there were people with weapons, and they were charged for that, I assure you. Secondly, literally they were approaching members of Congress. There were people with zip handcuffs. What are you talking about? There were absolutely people with weapons. They were trying to stall the effort to certify the election. I really don't know what else you can say about it. I saw it live. We know the intent.
Congressmen and that sort of thing. That's why we have the insurrection law that allows the government to defend itself. However, what happened on January 6th was not an insurrection from our viewpoint under the law that was designed for those kinds of insurrections.
Those kind of our kind of insurrection is actually super okay. So, like, it's fine. This was the kind of insurrection I agreed with, so it shouldn't count.
Was that a whole bunch of I hate to say it, but a whole bunch of ignorant Americans trespassed.
You just said that in front of the stupidest flag ever.
Into
That's Demon, thanks for 400 bits.
Washington, D.C., which is an international city-state. It's not just another little, community. It's a separate government, a separate country.
There it is. There's the opposite stuff. Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States. It's not a state, it is its own thing. But that doesn't make it different. It is the seat of the federal government. And it does, in fact, have power over the rest of the country.
In effect.
In certain ways.
And they all went storming in there thinking it was their capital when it's not. Okay? So they went to this foreign country and they swaggered around and they caused a disturbance. And
She thinks they were arrested because it was a foreign country. That's interesting. It's wrong. It's very wrong. But it is interesting the gymnastics she's trying to do.
They ran through monuments and crashed gates and whatnot, like vandals. There wasn't the kind of violence that an insurrection, an armed insurrection, I mean, you're talking about people going out and buying a tank and, but no, what went on in Washington, D.C. on January 6th was what I would call a fairly quiet riot.
A quiet riot! She did it! Peoplelord says, "Hey group, here's the last of my bits. Going on a trip, so I don't know when I'll be catching a live. Thanks for the entertainment. Also, that flag is awesome if you squint in the image, and imagine all those stars are penguins on thin ice. We're the penguins. Penguin noises, but nasty. What's a penguin sound like? This is my interpretation of a nasty penguin. That's what I think penguins sound like when they're down bad.
They weren't even throwing Molotov cocktails.
Hannah regrets what she just said. Not on the bingo card, just my real life. Come on, feel the noise.
They weren't.
Good, we made it full circle. Quiet riot and the noise. Perfect.
Throwing smoke bombs. I mean, this was people that were acting pretty much within the bounds of a protest of any kind that's ever gone on in this country.
Bubble Homestead with 100 bits says it was only a quiet riot because the people guarding the Congress people hid them in time. Hype train.
And especially, you'll notice the difference between the hideous, widespread urban riots that they promoted.
Fuck off, cunt! This is what we're talking about. No, this wasn't the kind of insurrection, and by kind of insurrection, she means white people were doing a thing. You can't get mad at old white people.
The year before.
30% to level 1 in the hype train.
And why that wasn't called an insurrection. And so why?
Because that's not an insurrection, you idiot! That's not what that is at all! Why wasn't this thing that's an entirely different thing in completely different places for totally different purposes not the same thing? Because they're not. They're not the same thing. An insurrection isn't just people doing a thing. You were in Congress trying to stop the vote. Like, I don't know if you're too dumb to genuinely know what the problem was, but this is weak sauce. This is not good at all.
Why nobody took action against that, and why the billions of dollars of property damage, both private and public, was never addressed by any court anywhere in this country is amazing to me. And yet this rather quiet riot that didn't involve armed people going around
There were armed people, they found bombs.
Shooting each other, and didn't involve anybody shooting anyone in Congress, though God knows they probably deserved it.
That wasn't an insurrection, though we should have shot them all. Come on! Come on! This is some OJ if I did it shit. It wasn't an insurrection, but if it was, we should have shot them all in the head. Oh. Well, there it is. There it is.
You know, how they can call that an insurrection within the meaning of the law is ridiculous. They can't. And yet,
I mean, most people who were in there weren't charged with insurrection. Some people were, and were actually convicted, like some of the Proud Boy leaders. So that's cool. But, like, if you were just some random idiot who came in, no, you probably got, like, contempt of Congress, or, like, not contempt of Congress, it was a different charge. Interrupting Congress or something and trespassing on federal property.
the talking heads are going, oh, the January 6th insurrection. Well, how about the June 20th Minneapolis insurrection?
That's not what an insurrection is, ma'am, and plenty of people were arrested during, like, protests. So I don't know what you're salty about. Scafazoa with 36 months says 3 years, and speaking of the insurrection, I was here for that stream, yay! Sheesh. This sub-baby for 3-year anniversary is named Big Anniversary Baby! We did it. The book he was sued over and forced to remove if from the title. Is that true? That feels like a Snopes thing.
How about the August 15th Portland insurrection? How about, you know, if you want to talk about insurrection with property damage and lives lost and
property. Insurrection is when property damage. Did you know that? Insurrection is when the Wendy's is burned down. What happened to boomers? I know the answer is lead, but do we have any runner-up answers? Because holy shit.
And people threatened and
minute left on the hype train.
And arson and all sorts of stuff that went on prior to this. And they're calling this an insurrection? Well, I'll tell you how they're getting around it. It's because it's in Washington, D.C. It's their definition of an insurrection, not our definition of an insurrection.
No, it's the definition. What are you talking about?
And you have to remember that in Washington, D.C.,
Overthought with 100 bits says, don't burn the Wendy's, not for the property, but because it's where the homosexuals meet. 8 homosexuals. 87% with 10 seconds left.
The members of Congress are the literal government of that separate country that's sitting there perched
on... No, they're the government of the United States, the place where you live.
On our shores. So what the members of Congress say is the law, and whatever they adopt as the municipal law, is what goes in Washington, D.C. So when you are crossing into the boundary of Washington...
Ma'am, please turn off whatever thing is playing your voice out of your speakers. Holy shit.
D.C., it's like you are crossing into Holland, or France, or China. Wherever, you know, Washington, D.C. is a foreign enclave. And you can see where the District of Columbia was created as a foreign enclave. And then with the
DM Trey, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs.
the District of Columbia law, how
Fenekigami says, cons and libertarians are amazing. Nothing is more important to them than buildings and cars, not human life, not the very fabric of society, because society's working fine for them. And they have buildings and cars, and that's their primary concern.
the municipality was set aside. So if you look at your Constitution and go to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, you will see the Enclave Clause, which creates this separate government for a separate, essentially a separate country within our country, the District of Columbia, which is not a state. And then within the district
It's not a
law,
state.
you'll
They never
find
said
that
it was
they
a state.
set aside the municipality of Washington, D.C. as their headquarters, and their municipal government is the Congress. So, members of the Congress serving as a municipal government for Washington, D.C. concoct the municipal code. And this is what I'm talking about when I tell you that they've got this humongous big, big fat law books like this thick that comprise the municipal code for Washington, D.C.
I'm done with racist grandma. Let's move on.
Carefully planned and executed. During the Civil War, the Constitutional Republic abandoned Congress, which forced President Lincoln to issue martial law. At this time,
No. Habeas corpus was suspended along rail lines unilaterally, and then it was ratified by Congress later after they were able to get to Washington, D.C.
the Republic was taken over by foreign insurgents who replaced it with the United States of America, Inc.
Oh, God. Have I seen this? Oh, no. What is this?
Court proceedings as well.
Oh, the Trump farting
Maggie
thing.
Haberman
I did.
reports that Donald
I've heard
Trump
these claims before. It makes me chuckle, but I don't think about it too much just because what does it do for me? Old man farts. More at 11. He might shit his pants. It wouldn't make him less dangerous to my existence. Proving Priestess says it's not a state, but it should be. It's fucked up that people in DC don't get to vote or have reps in Congress. Toreador with a 7-stream streak. Thank you very much.
in all caps in 1871. A corporation that
I
had
feel
the
the same way about, like, American Samoa.
same name, the United States. What better way to replace it without anyone noticing that they just got turned into a business and commercialized? Now, this corporation was later purchased by the banking powers behind the Fed. In
It's not how any of that works.
1912, the Fed was created in 1913. Why did this happen? Well, the U.S. was bankrupt when we sold the United States to foreign banking cartels, if you will. Salvage liens were placed on every asset. Check this out, including the people of the new federalized states. Now let's fast forward to 1933.
I'm trying to figure out if this guy's an outright scammer or if he really believes this stuff too.
Income tax was placed on the people to pay these foreign bankers who own the
It was for a world war that was going on, among other things.
IMF, which owns the IRS. Look in.
You think the IMF owns the IRS? The IRS is a part of the U.S. government.
To what the IRS actually is. Who is the IMF owned by? You got to follow the money. Who funds it? It's the same people that own the United States Inc. Same few families, and they're not American. So when I say foreign insurgents, that's what I mean. So 1933, USA Inc.
Yeah, I'm feeling the three things here, unfortunately.
It was bankrupt. An income tax is placed on its people. In other words, you and I were turned into property. Look it up. We were turned
No, you're not property.
into cattle.
Paying taxes on your income doesn't make you property.
And we were collateralized in order to turn us, humans, flesh and blood, into a means of paying off a massive debt. But the problem is that while you are technically a person, you've entered into contracts that you're completely unaware of, such as your birth
That's called an unconscionable contract, and it's literally not a thing.
certificate, social security number, etc., that are all saying, I consent to being collateralized. You're living as property, as opposed to living as a blood and flesh natural being. On paper, you are property. You are a corporation right now. You might be hearing this and thinking, we're fucked. We're property? Are you kidding me? And that's true, and property doesn't have rights. But here is both the blessing and the curse. There are multiple of you. Just like there's multiple United States of Americas. Sleight of hand, remember? What hat do they want to wear? There are multiple of you. The
There aren't. There's just you, the person.
insane irony in all of this is the fact that they are actually now liable for all of your alleged obligations, aka debts. That's what a debt means. You can play a wrong move in chess and still win the game. And commerce is chess. Their
Commerce is chess.
greatest attempt to set us back actually is their greatest weakness. How can we owe debt if the United States is liable for all of its property?
It isn't. You're not property. Glad I could answer that question for you.
If we're its property, then it's the United
You're not its property. You're not the property of the United States government. Hydrate.
States' burden to pay our debt. And that is exactly what the law says. I'm going to leave you guys with two different codes that I highly recommend you look into. First is going to be the House Joint Resolution Act 192. And when that occurred, the dollar was turned into what is called Federal Reserve debt notes. So if we're being asked to pay debts, but all we are given from the system is debt notes, aka fiat money, to pay back those debts, how
That's literally what it's for.
can we pay a debt with a debt? I just want
You're paying a debt with a debt note. The note itself. The number of times I've had to explain how the Fed loans money to banks who loans money to individuals or businesses, and that's how it works, and then it funnels back up. It's a system in which money goes out into the economy, and then money with interest comes back in to go back out and come back in. Like the tide, sort of, but financially. I'm so frustrated by these people's lack of understanding that I don't even know what to do to articulate the level of annoyance I have at them at this point.
want you to sit with that. They never gave you lawful money. They never gave you gold. They never gave you silver. The other side of it is looking into 18 USC 8. 18 United States Code 8. You're going to come to find out that that's literally telling you that the United States is liable for all debt. All of your debt, the United States is liable for it. How can you pay a debt with debt notes? Don't let that go over your head. They already got paid. Whoever's
Because it's currency. Because those are the currency that you use to buy goods and services, and it is the legal way to service debts. So that's what it is.
coming after you, saying you owe a debt, whatever, they already got paid. Why would you be paying it twice? Common law, a completely different, higher level set of law.
Nope.
That comes from God, the Creator.
Nope. That's not a thing in the secular legal system of the United States.
Is for a natural
People just straight up trying to be like, laws, Hammurabi. I've told that joke. I'm Tommy Tallaricoing. Stop trying to tell the same joke twice, Hannah. Goddamn.
blood and flesh man. And
Seriously, though, that's not how any of this works.
yet you have been following legal law your entire life.
You can't just decide, laws, who needs to write those down? God gives me my laws. Like, that's not even a system. That's a lack of a system.
Life.
Past $29 an ounce. And, you know, we saw the, and welcome to my show. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been watching the silver market lately, it's been getting up past $29 an ounce.
Ma'am, why do you think silver's worth money? Fenekagami says, a few things, sir. First, property does have rights. It's the only rights the cops care about. Second, what's wrong with me being property? My body is a temple, and a beautiful one at that. Third, the only real currency is time. Everything else is in the relation to time. Food and water to give you more, money to buy others time, and the time you spend on things you want and need. I feel like I just watched the Justin Timberlake film, In Time.
And, you know, we saw those numbers, I don't know, what, 3 years ago, maybe 2021, when it got up to like the almost $30 an ounce mark. And everybody was going crazy and silver's going to bust. And then all of a sudden, everybody bought a bunch of silver. And then silver went down and everybody's been holding. And now people have been struggling. And from what I understand, a lot of people have been turning their silver in because times have been getting rough. You know, the taxes are going up, property taxes, insurance is going up, groceries are going up, gasoline is going up, everything is going up. And even with the very small inflational rate increases for Social Security and for people's wages, it's not meeting up to the increase. And a lot of the people are feeling the squeeze. Now, I still believe in silver. I do, because that is real wealth. In fact,
the arbitrary nature of what they decide real money is so interesting.
In fact, it's actually constitutional money. The money that is supposedly money out there is not money at all. In fact,
it is money because you can use it to buy goods and service your debts with it. That's what money is.
It is debt.
I can go to the store and buy a loaf of bread. I can go and pay someone to paint my house. I can pay a bill. It's money!
Every single dollar that is printed from the Federal Reserve is in fact debt. Right now we're at what, almost $34 trillion in debt. And so how can any dollar that we have, if we're in the negative, be positive?
The disconnect between the abstract of money and the reality is lost on them.
It can't be.
It's interesting.
And then you find out that all debt is fraud. That
all debt is fraud.
Bank mortgages are
Saint Sanguine says, I don't believe in silver. You can keep your fancy tin.
Fraud. That the banks and the lenders provide absolutely nothing. That all of the credits.
If you haven't seen me cover Kat before, she defaulted on her mortgage and car payments because she got really into this sovereign citizen thing and stopped paying her mortgage and car bill because she decided all debt is fraud and thinks she didn't need to pay those. It's sad. It's very sad. To be clear, I don't think she can't pay these things. Like, I didn't get that impression. I get the impression she chose not to.
That they get from the Federal Reserve is backed by you.
And she was like the CEO of a business, of like a property management business, and lives for at least a couple more weeks, I think, before she's evicted, in a quite nice, like, home in what looks to be a gated community of some kind. Hydrate. I don't know that to be the case. It just has that vibe, you know? Lots of McMansions and shit.
You're back. On the promissory note that you signed, you put your DNA, you put your seal on it, and there's only one signature, which makes it a securitized note. They sell that to the Federal Reserve, and that contract with that one signature is never seen again. Now, the wet signature is gone. It's handed over to the Federal Reserve, and then they populate your account for an equal exchange of digits. And, you know, so you think the whole time the bank's giving you something when in fact...
They did. They gave money to the seller on your behalf that you now owe the bank, and in return, you get to live in a fucking house! Like, what? How is she like, what did I even get out of this? The house you live in! Your fucking house! Like, it's like she's so taken for granted the house that she doesn't even consider it a thing she was given. It's wild!
You are the creditor. And people didn't know this. This is all hidden knowledge based on Babylonian banking days.
There it is. Babylon. We did it. We got there.
They've been doing this to us for a very long time. And they always do this reset. We go through this reset ever so often. The Bible predicted.
Oh no, she's into Tartaria shit too. It's all just one big ball of bullshit. I have to pee, I'll be right back. In the meantime, Chair will tell you the tale as old as time of Carrot Top and chairman of the board. Be right back. Get out of here, Carrot Top. I'm the only person who makes people laugh here. Which would also be true if Carrot Top actually was here.
In the book of Revelation, the end times. And it's Revelation chapter 18, verses 23 and 24. And this is verbatim, and I'm going to show the actual scripture right here. But the scripture goes, paraphrase Cataspinda, it goes like this.
I just want to point out that that is a joke. Carrot Top is funnier than me, and always has been.
Wise men of old deceived the entire world using sorcery. And when you look up the Greek word for sorcery, it is pharmakia. And pharmakia...
Oh no, she's gonna get into anti-vax shit too! Saint Sanguine says, I do like silver and most precious metals. I don't believe in the magic-y bits. I think alchemy is fun, and I got a couple of pieces of silver out of some rocks my grandpa left me. I agree. I'm more of a silver person. I don't like gold. I do silver jewelry, or at least silver-colored.
Is the use of drugs. And we are in a very, very sick world. And with everything going on and all the deception that has taken place, our eyes are just opening up to the reality that we were living inside a matrix that was created for us using bread and circuses. And
wow, all the buzzwords, huh? The Matrix, bread and circuses. Whoa, bro, have you heard the allegory of the cave?
We were told that this was not real money.
Okay, I thought she was I think she accidentally brought that up.
Okay.
I mean, it's like not in like you could probably still spend that, but it's worth more as a piece of silver than it is as currency. So it's a commodity, and you could probably use it as currency if you really wanted to, but its face value is going to be less than the silver value.
We were told that this was not really worth much.
Fenekagami says, a reminder, this entitled Insert Nasty Words for Lady got herself evicted on her own stupidity and will probably be propped up by sob sits. Meanwhile, millions of homeless people are getting abused by our government every day, and Republicans are trying to make that even worse. I agree. There are actually sovereign citizens that I don't cover specifically because they get evicted. The difference in those situations and why I don't cover them, but I do cover her, is those were situations where they couldn't afford their rent, or like some other thing happened, and then they got into the sob sit stuff. So that's just sad, you know? There's no entertainment I can get or even interest out of watching someone be wrong while losing their house, because it's just depressing. She's fascinating to me because seemingly she was doing great. She had a good job, made a lot of money, had a good house and car, got into the sob sit stuff, and then just decided to stop. That's what's interesting to me. Like, this is entirely of her own design. It's incredible how people have such an affinity for self-delusion.
It's just a collectible.
God, I'm pretentious, and I kind of like it.
You don't want to really have a lot of that. It's not really worth anything. It's only worth like $21, $22 an ounce. You want to put your money in mutual investments. And now we've learned that the mutual investments are us, the sheep, that we are the ones that are traded on the stock market. We are the stock. What is stock? I mean, think of what a stock is here.
Livestock?
And then you got stocks and bonds. And we are bonds. We are the ones that are bonded.
Incorrect word etymology is evidence.
And we are the ones that are traded.
How long till she starts drinking tea? I'm surprised she isn't already, if I'm being honest. She's kind of getting everything else.
And so we didn't know that there was this whole corporation system created since we were born, since our birth certificate is a banknote, it's a trust, and we were set up in the slavery system, and they've got us living to about 75 to 80 years old. And, you know, and in the meantime, we're just running through the mill, just doing what they tell us to do, because the television has just got the whole
Television, another wrong etymology.
whole world mesmerized.
Oh shit, it's that show. What is that show? Fuck. The Replacements? Is that The Replacements on the TV? No. What show is that?
But now that COVID-19 happened, the pandemic, everyone now knows that the vaccinations and the
Juniper Lee. That's what it is.
Were a bioweapon used against the people, that there was a depopulation program in place.
Wow, that's a pretty shitty program then. It didn't do a good job. The population's higher than it was at the start of the pandemic, so they did a bad job.
By elite.
An issue that really grabbed me as
oh no, she's gonna do the Bill one!
Urgent were issues related to population.
In 1998, Dr. Zabin became the founding director of the Bill and Melinda Gates Institute for Population Control.
Dr. Zabin became the founding director of the Bill and Melinda Gates Institute for Population Control.
We see a lot of things that are going very well, things like reducing childhood death and
things like reducing childhood death and
first we've got
one sec.
Population. Now the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Now if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The problem is that the population is growing the fastest where people are less able to deal with it. So it's in the very poorest places that you're going to have a tripling in population by 2050. And so their ability to feed, educate...
What's wrong with reducing child deaths? You gotta understand that these people have already been primed to assume that Bill Gates is an evil genocidal maniac by other conspiracy theorists. So when they hear these concerns about population, what they hear is Bill Gates saying, we need to murder a bunch of children! When in reality, what he's saying is, hey, let's teach people about birth control. And, like, reducing infant mortality, because when you do that, population tends to lower anyway, or stabilize at least, because people aren't having so many kids. But that's too nuanced for people who are super into conspiracy theories, so it's no, overpopulation, he must want to kill everyone!
Provide jobs, stability, protect the environment in those locations mean they're faced with an almost impossible problem. Here we can see a chart that looks at the total world population over the last several hundred years. And at first glance, this is a bit scary. We go from less than 1 billion in 1800, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.4 billion where we are today is happening even faster. So Melinda and I wondered whether providing new medicines and keeping children alive, would that create more of a population problem?
And what the developers
He goes on to explain that it's the opposite.
The world does not need is more children.
She's taking all of these directly out of context to the part where he explains, actually, no, counterintuitively, it's the opposite.
And I think that was the biggest aha to Bill and me when we got into this work, is we asked ourselves, of course, the same hard-nosed question you'd ask, which is, if you get into this work and you start to save these children, will women just keep overpopulating the world? And thank goodness the converse is absolutely true.
Okay, so they did show it. And she's just not understanding what was said. Oh no!
Do not have good intentions for our world. Those like Bill Gates, for instance. I mean, he lives here in my state. And, you know, he is responsible for the death of either the death or the paralyzing and crippling of over 1 million children between China, India, and Africa. And that's just not acceptable. They did this, and this was back in 2011, and we're finding out a lot of this was hidden from us. You know,
no, it wasn't.
We were told he was a great guy, and, you know, he's a humanitarian, and he donates half of his money to charities. But now we know it's charities like the Clinton Foundation, the Obama Foundation, you know, to these vaccination programs.
All things that are fine!
To programs that quite frankly hurt people.
How? She's an anti-vaxxer, so obviously that one, but like...
that have killed children with these, you know, wellness shots.
Okay, I'm done with Kat. Fuck her. Holy shit, she's so ignorant. That's frustrating.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube world, this is Chris, aka Barnon11970, and I got a great video that I want to basically try and get as many people as possible to listen to. This is going to be the most important video I've ever done. It's going to help a lot of people figure out what's been going on. This is years of me studying, learning from different people, learning different sections, and putting the puzzle together, and pretty much have the answer of why we're enslaved and how we can pretty much get out of it. The getting out of it part I'm still working on, but when you see everything put into perspective, you're going to be wowed. So the one thing I would recommend is, please, I know this might be a long video, watch the entire thing. I ask people to share this because we need to get this information out, because once you hear some of the things that our government has done to us and what we've actually done to ourselves, and I'll explain how that happened, you'll never look at this government again. And I know some people say, well, where are the links? Well, they're studying here from common law, trust law, admiralty law, symbolism, all different aspects to be able to get this done. So that's how they basically trick people for the longest time, because there's so many different pieces to the puzzle. It takes a long time to actually put it all together. And watching a bunch of people that I got a lot of information. So let me get this started. So you may want to watch this with somebody who doesn't believe in this stuff, because
you all don't believe in this stuff, right? We're set? Okay.
Belief has nothing to do with the truth. So I'm going to go over some stuff again that's been done in other videos. I'm going to basically put everything into one video to kind of give you the idea of how we've been screwed and why. All right, so we're going to start with the fact that I've talked about the symbolism and legal definitions, because these are going to be relevant. We're also going to talk about admiralty law, your birth certificate, and how you've been enslaved since birth. Now, we're going to start with the admiralty law. We're starting with you in the womb. So when your mother...
Here we go with the mother's waters stuff.
...was pregnant with you.
You come from her waters, so we're really all vessels on the sea of commerce.
You just think it's the process of having a child. You give birth to the child, you sign a couple of documents, and then you live your life as a person. There's a lot of things that you need to know about, because, as they say, ignorance is no excuse of the law. So if you don't know the law, it's going to enslave you and entrap you. And the way they do it is by using words. And they use the words in different terms. It's called legalese, which means...
No, that's not. That's not what that means.
Legal definitions have different meanings than what you and I have been basically taught to think they mean. So let's start with the Admiralty Law. Now, why does it have to do with Admiralty Law?
Jen Graham, I fucking love that song.
Well, this is...
Believe in a thing called love.
Again, this is how they trick you, because you don't think that when you're pregnant, you have a child, that you have anything to do with law of the sea. But technically, under their laws, you do, because you are made mostly of water.
Her water broke, we're all boats with no money. Oh, I wish I was a boat with 2 money.
You are in a
3 money. Shit.
Womb that is filled with water. So basically what's happening is, under Admiralty Law, you are in a ship and you are going to dry land. You're docking from a ship. And the reason why I could say this is when they created the birth certificate, the way it happens is when you're born, your parents
The
sign
gold chain gives him special abilities, FYI, like the Sonichu medallion.
a certificate of live birth. And it's signed and authorized by a doctor. Goes off and you get a birth certificate. Now, you think those things are the same. They're not. First one says certificate of live birth. Second one is birth certificate. What they do is they make a dummy corporation in your name. And we're going
No, they don't.
to go through how they do all this stuff and how they get away with it.
They don't do that.
So the name on your birth certificate is not you, even though it looks like you.
It is you. It's literally just a document that says your name, and it's in all caps because it's more legible in all caps.
And I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's say, for example, you're on a boat called the Titanic, and your name happens to be Stephen Samuel Titanic. Your last name is Titanic.
That's a coincidence. Is that why you went on the boat? Oh, look, did you hear there's a boat named Titanic? You should go on the boat, because that's your last name. Boy, it sure would be a shame if ironically I perished on this boat that bears the same name as my family.
Well, you look...
It's kind of a tragic story.
On the back of that ship, it says SS Titanic. Your initials are SS Titanic.
That's not how anything works, though. So this metaphor is bad.
You have the same exact name, and let's just assume the SS on the Titanic meant Stephen Samuel. Does that mean that's you? Does that mean you're the...
Oh, I agreed, Profane Priestess. That stuff pisses me off, too. I can only deal with anti-vax people for so long, because I just want to beat my head against a wall. How many times can you explain, like, no, you're fucking wrong, like, it's good for you? Oh, bits, I'll read it. Anti-vax people piss me off so much. If anything in medicine could be described as miraculous, it's vaccines. Time was people lined up around the block to ask for vaccines. The number of people who have been saved by inoculation is beyond counting. Conservatively, it's in the hundreds of millions. The amount of suffering vaccines have spared us can't be overstated, and people who just throw it away. Hard for me to respond rationally to that. Agreed. Excuse me. Messy Jaden says it really feels like this is some strange attempt to blame their mothers for giving birth to them under a capitalist system instead of blaming the bad system.
Boat? Just because
it was HMS, not SS. You were correct.
Because you have the identical
the HMS Titanic.
Same name, and when that ship sank and you left it, you've abandoned ship, so to speak. So we'll get into that again later on. But when you're born, you're actually, through Admiralty Law, you are being birthed from the birth canal through a vessel, which is made of primarily of water.
Serving vessel, bitch.
You're connected to the ship with your umbilical cord. Well, if you know anything about Admiralty Law, well, what's the military of the sea? It's called the Navy. Well, what's another name?
What is the Navy but the military of the sea?
Belly button. It's called the navel.
I've not heard that one before. That's new. That's pretty good. Altered Undying says, something that's happening and really annoying me is getting my daughter her most recent vaccinations. Everyone says someone else will give them to her. It's getting scary, and there are people out there who won't take them when offered. Ugh, that's annoying.
These things are not coincidences. You're going to see that throughout how I talk about.
They're not coincidences. That's not what a coincidence is. That's just two things that sound alike.
Birth certificate. What they from the birth canal, live birth, the doctor autographs his signature to confirm as a witness, which, by the way, when a ship comes to port, what is it called? It's a dock. Well, who's the person that's authorizing this and helps you with the baby? A doctor. In other words, a doc. These are not coincidences.
Angel, thanks for $2 super chat, says, dang, I miss Chilie. Oh well. Have money. Thank you. You can watch the VOD afterward.
So in Admiralty law, the whole...
By the way, chat, I started doing clips on YouTube again, like taking sections out of the longer streams and turning them into single, like 20, 30-minute topic videos. So one came out today, another will come out tomorrow and the next day, and hopefully in perpetuity is the idea. I'm setting aside time in the morning to make sure I get that done before I do other stuff for the day. So, yeah.
The whole idea of birth
Keep an eye out for that.
certificate came from the fact that when countries were doing commerce with other countries and shipped goods from their country to another via ship, when that ship docked into the port on the vessel, which is another name for a ship, it's a vessel, they have to take each particular item, they have to register it, and they give it a certificate of birth, which means it's cargo. That's where birth certificates originated from. It originates from Admiralty law when countries are doing commerce with one another and they have inventory that needs to be registered and identified. So they create a certificate, a birth certificate of the name of the product, what it involves, where it came from, and it's
the Navy is the Army of the Sea, our bottom submarines.
Registration number. Sound familiar on your birth certificate pretty much? Okay, so...
You know what they say about submarines? Long and hard and full of seamen.
When you ever notice after...
Yeah, Mooncat's video is really good on a broad overview of sovereign citizen history and ideology. I'd recommend that video.
After a birth that happens, you see in the newspaper a day or two later, they say, John and Mary Smith gave birth to John Smith Jr., and you think, oh, that's nice, and the hospital's just mentioned.
Has anyone from the Navy ever commented on this? Not to my knowledge.
That's a cool
But it wouldn't matter. Sovereign citizens would just be like, of course they're lying. They're part of it.
thing. What they're actually doing is, it's kind of like a lost and found, where they're saying, we found this DNA that's been abandoned at the hospital, and we're trying to find...
We found this DNA that's been abandoned at the hospital. Sir, that's my sperm sample? Can I have that back? Did you just find that somewhere? It's still warm. Put it down, you nasty.
Find the person who has it to claim it. It's like, for example, and somebody made this as an amazing way to think about it. Let's say you have very long hair and you decide, I'm going to go to the barber and I'm going to just shave my head. So you go to the barber, shave your head, all that hair falls to the floor. You think that you did a great job, you pay and you go on your way. Well, all that hair, which was part of you, which is full of your DNA, you've abandoned, so it technically is the property of the person who owns that haircutting facility. So if they wanted to take that hair and turn around and sell it as a wig and make a profit off of it, well, they're making profit off of your DNA, part of who you are. But because you...
What the fuck are you talking about?
You abandoned it.
A wig is not valued for the DNA. I definitely can't play this, because that's from the HMS Pinafore. And as much as I do enjoy some Gilbert and Sullivan, I will get copyrighted for that.
It's no longer yours. So this is how they are able to justify...
No DNA in the hair outside of the root. That makes sense.
Having a corporation in your name. Because they have the only proof that you are who you say you are. Because when you talk about forensic science, well, in a forensic crime where they need to get information, what do? They look for a person's DNA, because the DNA is individual to each person. No two strands are ever alike. So your DNA is you. So that's proof of who you are. So I can say I'm anybody. I could say I'm Michael Jackson. I could say I'm Claudia Schiffer.
Can you? How would that work out? Sanguine, thanks for 100 bits, says I never thought someone could make a barber sound sinister. Oh no, what is this one? What the fuck are you talking about?
Ratio.
What?
You know, like, I caught you down bad in 4K.
Jesse, what the fuck are you talking about?
This people struggle not to leave traces of themselves, like they're trying to avoid being scried on in Dungeons and Dragons.
I could say I'm Bruce Springsteen or George Washington, but the DNA of who I am proves absolutely without a shadow of a doubt I am who I say I am.
How does he think that worked prior to DNA being sequenced?
So when your parents gave birth to you and they left that placenta behind, the government takes that DNA evidence, displays it on a newspaper and says, without basically saying it, because they're sneaky and this is all based on fraud, they're saying on a piece of paper in the newspaper, here is the birth of such and such person. What they're really doing is basically saying, we found this person, the DNA. They're not talking about the baby, because the baby was the baby was taken home. So it's not that they're saying we have the physical.
Breaking news! We found DNA at a hospital! More at 11. Stone Corbell says this analogy broke down entirely. He's saying the birth certificate are announcing abandoned DNA, but that this system was set up hundreds of years ago. We only started understanding DNA like 50 years ago. Yeah. I'm starting to think this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Baby, they're talking about the DNA, which proves who you are. Otherwise, whatever you say, whatever name you've been given, is nothing more than hearsay. So the fact that you have your name on a driver's license does not mean that's you. It's technically hearsay, because
it's hearsay? What the fuck do you think hearsay is? Hearsay is like you heard someone say something and you secondhand are relaying that.
Unless you were conscious,
you're claiming someone else said something.
Had it recorded, you can't prove you are who you say you are just because your parents even gave you a name.
Yes, because that name is used to identify you, like, sort of as a tautology. That name is part of your identity. That's the point. You can change it if you'd like. I did. But, like, you're going to have some sort of title or name that is used to apply to you, because that's how humans work. Oh.
But your DNA can prove if it's linked to you.
You know how I can tell you this, by the way? Because no one's name is... No one has that name. No one's name is... Because that doesn't make sense. You can't have someone with a name like... Because if that was their name, they wouldn't have a name, and then that would be useless. Even Prince, even the artist formerly known as Prince, went by that symbol for a while. That's something. You need something. Have something.
So after a couple of days of nobody coming to claim that placenta, because no one knows what that is, and they don't think about it,
a lot of people take the placenta home and eat it. I think that's disgusting and unnecessary, but I am just pointing out there are people who do not leave the placenta at the hospital. They take it home and eat it.
The government has the right to take your DNA and create a fictional character and label you, according to Admiralty law, dead at sea. Well, because you didn't come and claim it, and with ignorance is no excuse of the law, your silence is the same as consent. Now let me...
Giving birth makes you hungry? You know, the thing about being a human being is we can order pizza and do not need to eat things that come out of our body for no reason.
Explain what that means. Silence is the same as consent. Because most people say, well, I didn't know about it, so how can they get away with it? This is how they get away with it. And I've used this example in other videos. Let's say a bunch of us are going out to dinner. We're all going to pay for our separate meals. And we're buying drinks and whatever dinner. At the end of the day, we have...
Some people freeze dry it and put it in pills. I think that's coward behavior. I think you're a coward if you do that. If you're going to sit there and tell me you think it's good to eat a placenta, fucking eat it. Put it on your tongue. You goddamn milquetoast piece of shit. You're going to want to tell people you ate placenta and get the placenta imbibing street cred without tasting it sliding down your gullet? You're a fraud and a phony. And I'm disgusted by you. Altered Undying says, I think I had mine stored for later use with stem cells for my daughter if she ever needed it, but I cannot remember. Now that's a good use.
A pie. And we slice the pie up and divide it. And there's one piece of pie left. Everybody's eating. Now, I want to make a legal claim to that piece of pie. And I say out loud, I'm claiming that I'm going to take that last piece of pie. Well, the other people have choices. Well, they can say, yeah, go ahead, you can have it, we're full. Or they could say, no, you can't have it. Who are you to take the extra piece? Let's talk about it. They could say,
I can play this. Let's see.
You're cursed with the legs of a goat. Nay, these are pants. No more thorns and bugs. I'd like to wear pants. I fear change, and I will keep my bushes.
Quiznos, we're like that guy who wore pants instead of bushes.
Now I want a sandwich. Someone make me a submarine sandwich.
no, let's divide it. Or they could say nothing. Well, in law, if you make a claim of something and the other parties involved who heard the claim do not dispute it or argue it or create additional terms and
Renegagami says, can I just say Sobsitz and other conspiracy theorists have some of the worst ways to describe people? Like, racists still generally describe people they don't like as living beings, but Sobsitz have half the time basically describe people like they don't even exist at all. Granted, the overlap between conspiracy and racism blurs any comparison, so I guess I'm talking out of my ass. No, I get what you're saying, though.
just stay silent, that's the same as them saying, go ahead and take it. In other words, they comply with your request. So when it comes to when you're born and your parents, because one man's junk is another man's treasure, when they leave that placenta behind, then just think, well, you know, that's going to be thrown out.
You're gonna say that and act like I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it? Alright.
Born. And your parents, because one man's junk is another man's treasure.
And that's just great. That's beautiful.
When they leave that placenta behind, then just think, well, you know, that's going to be thrown out. The government tries to first have somebody come back and identify who they are by posting the birth into the newspaper. And when nobody claims it, it's considered abandoned. So the DNA is not you, the person, but it's who identifies who you are. Because DNA traces back to each individual person. So they have the actual proof that you are an existing entity. And because you don't report it, they technically, under Admiralty law, consider you dead, lost at sea. So even though I am here alive as a human being, under the
I think he really believes this 110%. I don't think this is a grift for him. I think he genuinely believes this. If it was a grift, I think he'd be doing a better job with the camera angles and stuff.
Government's rules, because of the fact when I was an infant, I didn't go, or my parents didn't go and report and claim back that DNA, they own the proof that I am who I am. And because I didn't go back and claim it, it was abandoned. So you've abandoned ship. Just like when I said before about the Titanic. You can have the exact name as the Titanic, but that doesn't mean you are that boat.
No one is thinking otherwise. No one, that's not how anything works in the real world either.
So when that boat sank and you jumped...
Hi, I'm Hannah Lusitania. Nice to meet you. Are you a boat? Are you secretly a boat? Yes.
Off that boat, you're abandoning ship. It's just meant to not be literally. It's all based on figurative and symbol. Now, symbols, the reason that they have symbols is for basically throughout history, the average person could not read and write. Even kings could not read and write a lot of times. Who were able to transfer laws throughout the history? Well, the clergy, the people who wrote the Bible, they also wrote the laws. They had to learn how to read and write. So the average...
Is he aware that for a lot of history, the church was an integral part of the government?
Person, how did they know what a law was if they couldn't read and write? Well, symbolism is the answer to that. Like, I'll give a prime example. And again, I've done this in other videos, but I want this whole thing so everybody can get this stuff. If you were driving along in a car, and all of a sudden you see a light go from the color green to the color red, what do? Well, what are you supposed to do? You stop. Now, it didn't say stop. You didn't read a word that says stop. You just know because the symbolism means that when a light turns red, you're supposed to stop. So even if you couldn't read and write, you understood what it meant. So that's what symbolism is. So in law, there are certain words that if you don't know the meaning, can enslave and entrap you.
No, they don't. It's not supposed to be obscure. Actual jargon in the legal, like in the legal profession, is not meant to obscure, it's meant to elucidate. It is not meant to confuse, it is meant to specify. If you don't understand it, it's because you didn't go to law school. It is not hiding things. It is very specific, in fact. Please get a lawyer.
Now let's get into the Constitution. So we're talking about, first of all, the way they can enslave you is by the fact that when you're born, your parents leave behind the placenta, your ship, according to Admiralty law. And again, it's not the literal sense, it's not a boat. They're talking, it's not
a literal boat, guys. We're halfway through the video and he needs to clarify, we're not talking about a literal boat.
In the figurative sense. So you're a creature of water, you're created into this water vessel, you leave the vessel into dry land through your vessel, which is the placenta. The parents leave the placenta behind, which is full of your DNA, and also they take out of your left foot, they draw blood. Or where do they take it from?
I need to stop putting my DNA everywhere.
The sole of your foot, your soul. Okay? It's all goes into play. So after a couple of days, they post in the newspaper, such and such gave birth to this person. You think that's a nice thing that they're doing. They're actually trying to do a lost and found and say, hey, we found this baby, come and claim it. And when
So you're telling me I can go to the hospital and just claim placentas? Okay. Does anyone want to go halvesies on a business idea with me? And how comfortable are you with, exotic meats? That was bad. That was gross, even by my standard. Ew.
Nobody does it, they basically say, oh, well, they didn't claim it, so they must be dead. So they are allowed legally, not lawfully, but legally, there's a difference, to claim that you're dead and create a fictional character, a corporation. So if your name was, like I said before, Stephen Samuel Titanic, well, what they do is when you file that certificate of live birth and you have the doctor sign it, you send that away.
Bittergrin says, wouldn't the birthing parent be the vessel? The placenta is more like the ship's rations. Yeah, the metaphor, it doesn't really make sense.
After that time of people not claiming it, they say, oh, they didn't come and claim it, so they must be dead. So we're going to create Stephen Samuel Titanic, the corporation, and send back, instead of a certificate of live birth, they send you a birth certificate. It's not you. That means you're cargo.
Okay, I'm overloaded on him. I think we're done for the day. Almost going for 3 hours. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Like I said, I'm after this gonna do a Patreon-only live stream. So if you want to be part of that, come hang out. We're also gonna do one Saturday after a regular stream. Here's a link to the Patreon. That's the wrong link. Try that again. If you join the Patreon at $1 or more, you can get access not only to this live stream, but the backlog of all the previous ones. So join that if you'd like. If not, I will see you tomorrow, where we will be doing VHS stuff, I believe. We might... I don't think we'll necessarily play this tomorrow, because it's been recent, but we will crack open the Isaac Asimov's Robots that is in the package, sealed. So we will take a look at that, and the game cards and stuff. And all sorts of other fun stuff. So cool beans. I'm just gonna end, because I gotta get ready for the Patreon thing. So have a good night, everyone. Hope to see you soon at the Patreon thing. If not, see you soon. Oh, Fenekagami says, speaking as someone whose wife gave birth twice, my children never left the room until we got the certificate. So, dude, you are so wrong. You don't say. Thank you for letting us know. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye. See you soon.